3 wide. We look up to the flag stand. It's going to be your Morecast white flag. It's one more lap to go as Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, and Jesse Thodak are your top 3 into turn 1.
Who's gonna make it back here to take the checker flag? It's gonna be anybody's game. It was a dead heat almost across the line last time. It was only 0.02 of a second separating our top 3. Let's see what it is this last time as they go down the back straight for the final time here tonight.
Vincent Sora going to be having help, currently leading the charge in the middle groove. Danny Cochran going to be on the inside. Another big surge on the middle groove, but here comes Jesse Thorndock. Shelly's going to bump Cody Reed to the outside wall. Ryan Kelly's got to get to length up with the 14. Bad bump for the 14. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, they look good. Who's going to drive down to the apron? Vincent Sora blocks once, he blocks twice. They're still wiggling back and forth, but it's Vincent Sora winning the Daytona 250 here tonight as it's Calamity. It's carnage. It's the big one across the line. Versal, top 8, they're on the old tires. Everyone else, 4 tires except for Chris Stitz. He took 2. Jones Paint and Designs 140 is back underway. A lot of wheel spin further on back, but here we go. Oh no, it's going to be seen. Noah Steele, that's Travis. It's going to be Downing trying to hold steady as they're faltering backwards. Up front, great launch for also going to be Larry Ely and Cody Reed, but your trouble is Danny Cochran's the one that blitzed on through. The 0-2 is on the charge, and he's the first one with fresh tires.
And he's going to quickly catch up to Larry Yingling. What's he going to do? He's going to split the middle here, but Yingling's going to slide up the track. He's going to have the lift.
He's blocking him. Oh, they're forcing the outside. Down to the inside. Cochran's wrecking right in front of Kelly. Oh no. Jared Talmadge breaks through. The big one. Everyone's piling in. Oh, the madness. Oh no. And everyone's in it. The only ones that made it through was our top 4. Everyone else got a clip of this one. With 3 to go, this is it. Crown a champion. Our first attempt at overtime. Who's taking it here at the end? If we get a yellow on lap 1, we head to overtime attempt number 2. But let's see if we can keep it clean and green. Already going to be seeing drivers going to be side by side, 3 wide deeper in the field. Up front's going to be seeing Jared Talmadge, Vincent Sora, and Talmadge is getting pushed by Thomas Green. Green is forcing the 27 to the lead position. Here we go, Zach, out of 2.
That was huge for Talmadge because Vincent Sora got the restart of his life, stayed side by side, but the 3's push is what propelled him to the lead. But now the 3 looking to the inside. He wants that 3rd victory, and we're going to see some fireworks here, guys.
Christopher Norris going to be back in 9th place, but up front, it's going to be Jared Talmadge looking up to the flag stand. It's your one more lap to go from Morecast, and it's all spreading up to the outside. Yingling's out of this. It's Vincent Sora's championship to grab, but Christopher Norris is back in 7th place. Off the exit of turn number 2, Jared Talmadge. Do you have everything, or will Christopher Norris find some type of wicked speed? Right now, it looks like the 38 is nowhere to be found. Jared Talmadge fought, clawed, and will win here at Vegas. The wrecking behind, but Vincent Sora, take your championship. You're back hoisting the crown. The 15 is your Trinity Racing League Season 1 champion. Before we get to the racing action of the Trinity Racing League Season 3, let's say thank you to some of the amazing sponsors. First and foremost, the title sponsor of Larry Arts Production. We also want to say thank you to SimSam, Blazing Fast TV, Premier Racing Setups, Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios, and finally, Team Watson Racing Setups. Thank you so much for all the sponsors. Now let's get to the racing action. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. This week, we don't have servers to switch up, so we're able to give you a proper opening preview show to get you ready for tonight's race, the second race of Season 3 of the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. After coming off a spectacular Daytona running that had to go to overtime, Alan Elwood came away with the victory, but this evening, we got 41 drivers registered up. All 41 get to race, and tonight, a little bit of a longer race than they did back in Season 1. Instead of 110 laps, let's try 120. And as well, let's not just do our normal engine window. We're going to be rolling with 110% engine power. Get a little bit more horsepower to work with here this evening, and we're excited to see how these drivers can handle it for race 2 of the season. For the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240 from Auto Club. Should be a good one. My name is Sam Dyer. With me this evening is Zach Hall. And Zach, certainly a night that is going to be a lot of unknowns. Extra horsepower is always fun for the drivers. They get to test out their skills on how things are going to be evolving, but it certainly is a factor that, especially at a track like Auto Club, where anything can happen and it's on the line.
Definitely so, Sam. Yeah, it's going to be a fun factor to add in there to tonight, of course, with all these amazing drivers we got. We got 41 cars so far signed up for tonight's event so far, and still got a few minutes remaining here in practice for maybe a few others to trickle in. But yeah, I'm excited. 110 horsepower percent, like you said, so it's gonna definitely add a little bit of a factor to how that car drives and how everything works out. So I'm excited just to see what that really changes. I know talked to a few drivers. They said they didn't notice it too much, but I think as time goes on, they're going to notice the slight changes and the slight little differences that it is. So definitely early times in the season, and I think everybody trying to get familiar with it.
They also are going to have to get familiar with a couple of new drivers joining up with the league. One will be racing here this evening, being the 75 of Gavin Rogers, signed up yesterday, actually this morning, and is excited to be running. Other drivers that have signed up, Malik Kuntz and Justin Smith, also signing up. So some familiar names, if you've watched Monday nights, are returning back. But the emergence of Gavin Rogers, Zach, that's another top-tier driver that missed out on last week. But luckily, we're at Auto Club, a track that we've seen Gavin Rogers in other leagues perform well. So the 75 can gain all those points back in a flash here this evening.
I mean, it might be his first race this season so far, with it being the second one and missing out last week at Daytona, not to start out the season with us. But like you said, Sam, from the past, I know it as a driver, right, who competed against him myself. This is one of his best tracks by far. I think if any track he wanted to have a debut for the season at, it would probably be this one on the schedule. So I expect that 75 to be a huge factor, if not competing for the victory tonight. So don't put it past them, folks. That debut race tonight here of this season could be a big one.
It certainly can be a big one. We also want to say thank you to some of the sponsors before we get over to qualifying. I want to say thank you to our title sponsor of Larry Arts Production. Go check out all their fun videos of comedy and reviews on YouTube, as well as other social medias. Just look up Larry Arts Production, and you should get some great content searching there. We also want to say thank you to Blazing Fast TV, that will be our pole sitter sponsor, as well as the grid sponsor. So who's going to find their way into having that fastest lap here tonight? We'll find out here in less than a minute. We also want to say thank you to SimSam for our halfway bonus point sponsor, Premier Racing Setups as our caution flag sponsor, Orchid Ink Tattoos for being the in-season tournament sponsor, as well as replay sponsor, and finally to Team Watson Racing Setups for joining on board, for being our white flag sponsor, as we're about to be tackling qualifying, which has been interesting to hear the drivers talk about how this track is evolving here tonight. A lot struggling to find speed based off of their competitors, and some of the times have been set already. But Zach, qualifying is going to be key because it might be a track position type of a race.
It very much can be. It's a place where, you want to very much kind of, manage your track position as well as possible, but you also want to save your tires. So it's kind of one of those pick and choose races. But we'll have to see here for qualifying, because again, like you said, I think it's very important to put yourself up front with 41 cars.
Qualifying about to get underway. Practice is done. Qualifying is here. We'll have the warm-up, which will be 5 minutes. We'll break down how the race is going, as well as how the point standings after last week, the schedule moving forward, and also have our pick'ems later on as qualifying underway. 41 drivers gonna be getting set up and ready for racing action. But the question is, who's gonna be up top? Who can find the true pace? As last time we ran here was back in season 1, only 3 cautions during that running, but it was Vincent Sora that dominated, led over 66 laps of that 110, and also grabbed the pole. Zach, I've got a feeling he could go away with grabbing the pole here tonight, because we know every track that number 15 is always the fast one to watch out for.
Oh, no doubt, Vincent Sora. I mean, being the season 1 champion he is, I think he's always going to be a factor in these races, and I'm excited to see how he performs. I know this is one of his better tracks also, but I think there's a lot of heavy hitters. This is going to be a fun night just to see who can kind of like stamp it as being like, man, this is the first super speedway race to get a victory and a pole position. It's going to be very important to these drivers. So right here, we're going to watch the 03 of Clint Cox take us around a lap here at Auto Club.
Which is interesting to see Clint Cox ducking down to the apron. So this is a sign. First lap might be the key lap for the 03 machine. Who else will be banking on the first lap being their money lap? Off the exit turn number 2, the 03 looking good, maximizing every portion and part of this course, trying to maximize your speed on the straightaways. And Clint Cox enters into tonight second in points, 4 points back from seeing Alan Elwood as our points leader after the win last week at Daytona. But the first couple of times are heading in a 39.7 from Joshua Kanata. I mean, that is a stamp to start the night off, and Cox will come up just a little bit shy in second place.
I think he's got to be happy with a 30.79 too also. So anything in the 7s I think is pretty quick. We didn't see many people reaching down to that in that practice, and now Jackson Anderson, the leader of the practice session, he jumps to 3rd, but is now suddenly dropped to 4th as this Trevor Benz up to 3rd.
There was not a single driver that made it into the 7s. They needed a lot of help from drafting with one another to even have a chance to hit a low 0.8. But Joshua Kanata, as well as Clint Cox, showing maybe it's the first lap that's got to be your money lap to go for. Clint Cox's second lap was about 0.2 slower than his first, so there is some speed to be grabbed, as about half the field has finished up their qualifying, or is at least set one time in. Couple of drivers going with the slow approach though. Presley Sora taking it very slow on his first lap. We'll see how that's going to help out the 09 on his second go around. It's Ollie Fonseca, the 24, taking the top of the pillar after his running there, a 39.747, and that was on his second lap.
Yeah, great to see that. There's a difference, running between some of these drivers on the top of the board with it, who runs it on their what lap of their qualifying lap. So here's the 74 of Nick Crawford. He'll be trying to put down his fastest time he possibly can here. I believe he's on his second lap too, I believe so.
And now top of the board, it's the returning driver, Gavin Rogers, that will be making his run debut for the 75 machine, and he tops the board. Nick Crawford hoping that this will be a good time for himself, dropping down to the apron, cutting down the difference. And across the line, Crawford hoping that it was a good time, good enough for top 10 currently. That's 7th on the board with a 39.816 for their first lap.
Great job there from Crawford to put himself up into the top 10. And we'll see how he can perform in the race here tonight. Is the 7 of Cedric Hunter. We'll see what his lap was, a 39.92. That's going to put him 15th on the board. And I think, again, Cedric's Achilles heel always seems to be qualifying. We'll see how he can try to pick up maybe on the second lap of his run, as a few others have jumped to the top 10, notably Jarrett Talmadge up to 7th.
Talmadge felt good on his pace. I know Jarrett Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, a little bit of rivalry going on in-house between those two drivers on who was going to have the better qualifying run. Currently it is Talmadge, but Hunter, a little bit of a jostle there over the bumps. Seeing if that's going to hurt the 7 at all as Alan Elwood bounces into the top 5, 4th on the board for last week's winner for the 9 machine. But Cedric Hunter crossed the line, and that's 5th fastest and better than Talmadge, so he'll take that as a victory. 5th on the board for the 7 machine of Cedric Hunter.
Wow, yeah, some bragging rights there between those two. That is definitely a fun little thing to watch. So Great job by Hedrick. I mean, again, that's not his strength, is qualifying. So I know Auto Club, one of his better tracks, he likes it in the Xfinity car. Don't count that 7 out, man, when it gets down to race time here.
If you see Cedric qualify well, this is going to be a race to watch out for it, because he usually, like you said, struggles when it comes to that factor. But practice is over, qualifying is done. Congratulations to the debut driver of Gavin Rogers. Fastest time over Ali Fonseca. That'll be your front row, and it'll be awarded will be Gavin Rogers of your Blazing Fast TV Pole Award. Well, the drivers will have a 5-minute warm-up period to get a little bit of a breakdown, get a little bit of a break for themselves, some maybe a little bit more practice on track, and as well gives us time to take a closer look of how the season's been so far. We've only ran one race, so not a lot is going to be changing up. But the point standings entering this evening, it's your winner from last week of Alan Elwood. Top of the board with Clint Cox in second. Cody Reed in third with Nicholas Crawford. Going to be tied in third and fourth. And Thomas Green in fifth place, last season's champion. Not a bad place for none of those drivers to really start, but those that are outside the cut line of our top 16, they certainly still have a big marker to move up if they want to close in for the chase later on in the season. But Zach, that's just the start. We know this is going to ebb and flow a lot throughout this season.
Definitely so. And tonight's like that first true test of the pace meter. When we go to Daytona, it's really open to anybody. But when you get to some of these other tracks, you really start to see kind of like the skill gap, so to say, of the league. And that's where you get to see some of these big jumps and these big slides from others. So I'm very interested to see how it works out. But of course, a great start for a few of them out there. You can always be happy when you leave Daytona with some great points.
You certainly can. And, the difficulty level is certainly going to be arising as we look over to the schedule for this season. It's going to be a lot of changing of different tracks back and forth. But the first 5 races of the season certainly going to have their own difficulties, with Daytona being the first one already in the books. Congratulations to Alan Elwood for taking the win. We got tonight at Auto Club. Next week, Bristol. Then we'll have a week break, and when we come back, it's the Circuit of America's West Circuit. That's the short circuit that they're going to be running. It cuts off a little bit of the track that they will be racing on. And then we also have Michigan, the sister track of Auto Club. So the first similar course we'll have is between race 2 and 5. But Zach, race 3, Bristol, even the admins are a little bit nervous seeing that on the schedule.
Ooh, yeah, definitely at the sharp end of the schedule, so to say. It's always interesting. Usually you see those tracks a little bit later in the schedule just because, your league participation kind of dwindles later in the season. I think we're going to have about probably 40 cars we're going to Bristol probably too, and could be a little bit of mayhem, so to say. But hey, we're all here for it. And if you know the talent of these drivers, they definitely can go out there and put on a show if they can just keep that thing, going under green flag conditions.
It certainly can be, and certainly a lot of moments to watch out for. And Zach, speaking about moments, we got a couple of moments to watch out for. We got racing key moments that you feel like these drivers have to watch out for.
Yeah, always at this track, I think you need to expect, first off, plenty of side-by-side racing. There's so many grooves, so many people looking to do different things that you always got to be looking for drivers to be next to you when you don't expect it. So watch those mirrors and stay patient and have that awareness up tonight, because there'll be plenty of action. Then, of course, number 2, manage your tire wear. Tire wear is always critical here, but again, it's going to be the battle of managing the wear versus giving up track position. So we'll see that battle between the drivers of who is willing to give up a few spots, who's willing to fight a little harder, and who's just willing to go all out. And then, of course, navigate the chaos of the restarts. We talk about that all the time here. There's going to be 3-4 wide moments. You've got to get through that if you want to survive to the end of this thing.
Yeah, man, there's going to be a lot to watch out for, especially in the early goings of these races. But let's have a look at who are we feel like are drivers to watch out for. Our pick'ems, drivers we feel like maybe could win, maybe storyline drivers, or just key drivers to watch out for. And I'm going with just a watch out driver. Maybe he's not going to get into victory lane, but I say watch out for the 24 of Ali Fonseca. That's going to be my driver of note. I feel like with the way this track's running, the way drivers are racing around each other, the 24's aggression will it be rewarded? Will it be a hindrance? We'll watch out and see. That's my driver to watch out for here, and that's my pick. Zach, who's your driver that you're picking here tonight?
Well, I'm actually going to go to a driver not too far away from him in qualifying. Actually, the driver on the same row, I'm going to go with Gavin Rogers tonight. Debut race this season for him here. I love the 75 speed that he shows here at Auto Club in every single car. and I really think he'll be a huge factor. If not a factor, I think he's going to be in victory lane. So I'm excited to see how he performs here tonight.
And then our third member of our crew, that's Robert Moyer Jr., and I'm curious on who he's going with, and he's going to go with the driver who started off quick last season, Jarrett Talmadge. First half of the season, for season 2, he was the points leader. We'll see if he can try to emerge his way forward as the 27. Certainly is always a driver to watch out for at every intermediate, bigger track. I feel like those are his bread and butter type of courses. Certainly one to watch out for here tonight. Well, practice is done. Qualifying's over. The warm-up is now done. All that's left is 120 laps of racing action that we get to give you all here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us live, those that are watching later on, as we take a look at your Blazing Fast TV starting grid. And the driver that takes the top spot, debut race, why not start with a splash? It's the 75 of Gavin Rogers that takes your Blazing Fast TV pole award. To his outside will be the 24 of Ali Fonseca. In third is Joshua Kanata in the 16, with Alan Elwood starting in fourth. Cedric Hunter, one of his better qualifying runs, will be starting in 5th, with Michael Miller in the 99 starting in 6th position. 7th finds the 03 of Clip Cox, with Vincent Sora in 8th. 9th will be Jarrett Talmadge, in finishing out our top 10. It's the 74 of Nick Crawford.
Starting in 11th, we're going to have a rookie driver here of the 33 of Trevor Benz, and alongside him, a fellow rookie driver is the 45 of Alex Fuller in 12th. 13th is going to be last season's champion of Thomas Green. 14th is going to be another major contender throughout many of the seasons here. 14th of Ryan Kelly. Jackson Anderson going to start in 15th. Clayton Montgomery going to start in 16th position. 17th is going to go to the 17 of Chris Stitz. Larry Yingling, his teammate's going to start alongside him in 18th. 19th is going to go to Ryan Bird in the 49, and rounding out our top 20 is Jesse Thornick.
Now, this is the second half of the field, but you know they're going to get up front quickly. Starting off in 21st is the 23 of Cody Reed. Going to be following in suit moving forward is the 38 of Christopher Norris. Danny Cochran in the 44 going to be starting in 23rd. Joshua O'Brien going to be in 24th for the 48. Joshua Stovall running the 77. Carson Hocevar numbers, and we're expecting him to get forward quickly as well, with Zachary Wake in the 39 and 26. 27 will find the 01 of Aaron Krolick, with Thomas Walter in 28th. 29th, Presley Sora, and finishing out our top 30, it's the 00 of Ethan Smith.
Starting 31st is the 50 of Samuel Garcia. Stephen Clapp going to start alongside him in 32nd. 33rd is going to be the 47 of Dalton Hayes, with Chris Stamper in the 10 starting in 34th. Matthew Pavlik going to start in the 35th position, with Richard Wolsifer going to start in 36th. Nicholas Renner in the 18, he's going to start 37th, with Tanner D. Johnson starting 38th. 39th is going to go to the 5 of Dakota Moniz. 40th is going to go to Ryan Boucher, and rounding out our 41 cars here tonight, it's the 91 of Martin G. Morales.
41 drivers attempting to race here for the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240. But 2 drivers have to start on a back foot. It's going to be the 99 of Michael Miller, as well as the 9 of Thomas Green. Both drivers will have an EOL to start the end of the line. For Thomas Green, it's due to a choose violation, as he was not fully committed to one side or the other at one of the chooses last week. And Michael Miller, due to ARCA braking during one of the big wrecks, he has a L1, and the L1's a little bit more aggressive this season. It's an end-of-the-line penalty to start the race off, as well as a drive-through penalty. So the 99 is going to have a long evening to start things off, as the rest of the field, they're ready for racing action. There's going to be the Sim Sam halfway bonus at the end of lap 60. No fast repairs, 4 sets of tires. The engine power, it's up to 110%. Man, you've got some extra horsepower. You can slip and slide and get out of sorts very quickly. But it's Auto Club. It's time to see some pack racing. Multi-different grooves for 120 laps. It's your Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240, and race 2 of the Trinity Racing League is underway, as Gavin Rogers, Ollie Fonseca, and a bunch of other hungry drivers roar down into turn number 1.
Launch from everyone all around, but down the one, they're going to fan out here. And this is the chaos I spoke about. 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide. Sometimes you'll see on these restarts. And off of 2, it's Fonseca in the 24. He's going to power around the top side and use the momentum.
And Alan Elwood, oh, trouble in the back. Multiple drivers going to be running into one another. No caution is thrown. It's Matthew Pavlik as well as the 32 of Tanner Johnson that go around. The 30 takes the brunt of it, but the rest of the field races on. No yellow is thrown. And up front, Ollie Fonseca going to lead lap number 1 as Gavin Rogers falls back to 3rd place. And Alan Elwood, he is muscling forward. Zach, last week's winner, he wants to prove that it just wasn't a fluke. The 9 is a threat here this season.
That he does, man. What a great way to start your season off with some momentum of a victory. But look at the field fan out still from about the 4th position on back. Everybody looking for positioning, and I'm interested to see what line is going to be dominant here tonight. We've seen here at Auto Club, anytime you come here, you can really make a lot of different lines work. But I know they had a few practice races throughout the season, to get recruitment going through. That top line was very, very strong at moments, but here in the nighttime conditions, sometimes that can change. So let's see how they can figure out which line is going to be the one to go with.
As fast as laps trying to clock their way through, but we do have an update on the Matthew Pavlik situation. Engine blown after Tanner Johnson and Richard Wolfsburg made contact with one another. It shipped the 32 to the inside. It made contact with the 30 of Pavlik, and then nose first to the inside wall. The 30's night officially done. Also an update on Michael Miller. He has finished up his drive-through penalty, but here we go. Zach, the battle for the top spot. Vincent Sora not waiting for long, qualified 8th, and the 15 who led the most laps back in season 1 here at Auto Club. He wants to get to the top spot quick.
15 always has a nose for wanting to get to the lead. Look at him. He's sticking his nose to the inside of the 9. Alan J. Elwood, but Elwood so quick here early to go, and also will he be able to fight alongside him? But Vincent Sora looking to power down the back straightaway, but the 9 is able to stay alongside. That's key here because now he'll have the positioning here as we go to 3.
Side drafting against one another, who can make the best moves forward is really the key right now. There's a lot of drivers that have given up space, thinking that tire wear is going to be the big factor later on in the run. But in the early goings, those that are willing to utilize their rubber are being gifted some massive surges and runs. Elwood holds on for that lap, but Sora, if you can just sense, wants to get to that top spot immediately. Gavin Rogers, Ollie Fonseca, they're going to swap positions to 75. He wants to not lose any more ground as Fonseca is muscling his way on the outside.
Fonseca just fought to that quarter panel and just made sure that 75 couldn't slide up in front of him. And that really takes a lot of air off the rear end, not only for the 75, but makes you have to lift a little bit, just not able to track out as far as you would think before. So great job by them staying off each other, but that's just some great early racing.
40 drivers out on track and so much action. In a blink of an eye, you're going to miss it as Vincent Sora is now in the lead. But you can see on screen, this is the madness, the chance of a mistake. And it's side-by-side racing between the 45 of going to be Alex Fuller and also seeing the 13 of Ryan Kelly and Zach. These two drivers, they are the biggest movers currently of those instead of the top 10. The other one that's moved up quite quick is Larry Yingling, who's up 9 positions.
Yingling really pushing hard to get himself up into the middle of this field here in the 67, but also, like you said, his teammate Ryan Kelly looking very strong early. And it's always interesting to see with Kelly. He's such a great tire management guy that he is showing some speed here early. That could be an interesting sign for him later as this run goes on even.
And also seeing Joshua Kanata, that 16 purple machine, pretty easy to see as they're 3 wide a little bit further back in the field. But Zach, watching the practice times, Kanata was one of those drivers inside of the top 5 in speed when they were working in the draft. And right now, he is working the outside groove. The only win the 16 has for himself in the Trinity Racing League was a fuel mileage race last season at Phoenix. I think tonight could be the night that he shows just raw pace is a factor for the 16 and a chance to outright win with pace.
I completely agree with that. I think this is probably, if not his best track, it's got to be top 2, top 3 for him, because from past practice, calling races up there, he's always had speed at the Auto Club Speedway. So I think you're exactly right, Sam. He's going to have a great opportunity here tonight, and already up the 3rd. That's impressive with the field we have here.
I mean, a wide shot of just this madness. Honestly, if we can go to a blimp shot, it is wild to see all the different angles the driver's going with. You got the 2 wide battling just inside of the top 10. You've also got 3 wide battling for drivers that are just inside of the top 20. It is every position, everyone's sending it, but there are some drivers that are kind of shockingly further on back than I was expecting, Zach. And watching Cedric Hunter, how well he qualified, I'm curious if for the 7, how much ground is he willing to give up? Because there's also another driver of Clint Cox that's given up over 11 positions from where they qualified. I'm curious if that's even worth the give up time if you're stuck in the middle of this madness.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a telltale sign, I think, for us a little bit to watch a few of these guys who have done, you know, the slower approach of dropping back here, losing a few spots. So got to keep that in mind. And if you're the 7, he's going to have to learn from this. You know, if it doesn't work out, you got to change your approach here as the race goes on, because you will quickly be putting yourself out of the contention here as it goes farther along. But right now, such great racing here early in the Going Auto Club. Everybody just trying to find their footing.
Now, it's a couple of these drivers just searching for their footing on how to go forward. Others have already figured out where they want to stand, as one of the drivers is moving forward fastest from practice. That's Jackson Anderson in the 83. Zach on the inside, that red, white, and blue 83. I think tonight certainly is an evening where you think he's got to be one of the favorites. He's won at the sister track of Michigan, or has looked at least quick at that type of a track. He's always fast and willing to make the aggressive moves. This is a pairing that you got to be nervous about, though, with Ollie Fonseca as well as Alex, going to be Jackson Anderson, working with one another nearby.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, we got to clearly see it in season 1 when we were here broadcasting these guys. Jackson Anderson is a lightning rod sometimes of action, just because he just attracts it, man. His aggressive driving style. You know, when you drive people aggressively, they're going to drive it back, so it kind of attracts it, like almost like a lightning rod, I would say. So it is fun to watch, because he's just putting it all on the line there. He's a young kid, and he's just willing to take, you know, a lot of risk, and it's what it's about sometimes in racing. And he's definitely shown that he has got plenty of speed. And I think tonight, again, this track kind of falls into that aggressive style, really. So I think he'll be right up there in the mix.
Certainly is going to be one of those drivers. If it can all line up is the key factor. As we're seeing right now, the battle of our top 3, all 3 trying to stay as low as possible, but a little bit of space for the get some clean nose air, air on their front nose, excuse me, as Alan Elwood, Vincent Sora, and going to be now seeing Ollie Fonseca emerging forward. Your top 4 keeping it close, and that was one thing I was kind of curious about. How long can they keep these pack racing with one another, and when will we start to see the spacing out portion as drivers are all around the 7 back up the track? Driver trying to avoid massive runs through the grass, and somehow we stay green. But Zach, the 7 going for a ride, and what a way to throw it all away.
Yeah, no, there goes the caution.
Oh my goodness! What in the world happened there? Richard Wolsifer, the 56, involved with that one. Eric Kralik and a couple of others piling in late. When you thought the wreck was over, it just multiplied into a bigger mess.
Wow. Yeah, that was a huge stack up there. It happened off of 4. And then from down here, I look, yeah, this was just a causing of that check up there. And Kralik was going for it, trying to carry the speed. The other cars ahead of him move as he was making the move. And Richard Wolsifer, I mean, that hit to Kralik was massive.
And that will be our first caution of the day, sponsored by Premier Racing Setups, as well as we're looking over these Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios replays. But here's right on board with the 56. I mean, he's seen drivers slowing down, avoiding the slow number 7. You think the madness is done, and then in a blink of an eye, drivers are wrecking, and there's nowhere to go.
Man, that was massive for sure, and kind of went back to see myself exactly what happened off of 4. Necessary to say, and it was kind of actually like an accordion effect that happened off of 4, where Danny Cochran ran up onto the back of Jarrett Talmadge. He kind of got, Talmadge had the lift as he got right up on the back of him. He runs into the wall. Stovall runs into Cochran, which therefore shoots the 77 down into Cedric Hunter, and that's kind of spins both of them. So that's what happened there off of 4. And then, of course, we've seen the aftermath down into 1. So wild stuff here, but it looks like early takers on pit road here.
Couple of early takers. Why not? You've got 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. If this race had stayed green, it was going to be about a 2-stop these drivers were dealing with, but Everyone heading into pit road. Required damage was given to Dalton Hayes as well as Richard Wolfsfer. Not surprised by that. Aaron Krolick's going to have a lot of optional damage to work with, and many of others. We'll see how bad that grows into. As drivers that stayed out, well, that's going to be your top 10 currently. That's Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Kanata, Jared Talmadge, Cody Reed, Chris Stitz, Clayton Montgomery, as well as Ethan Smith, Nicholas Renner, Jesse Thornock, and also going to be seeing Ryan Boucher, who are going to be those 10 drivers that stay out. Look to be a little bit of topping of fuel for a handful of drivers. Gavin Rogers, also going to see Jackson Anderson, Ryan Kelly, and Trevor Binns. Everyone else thinking about getting some 4 tires as well as fuel in. You know, I think that's not a bad call to take tires, see what you can work with here, especially if you know that you were still going to turn this race into a 2-stop. Might as well take a slight gamble.
I like it too, Sam, because I mean, this track has tons of fall off. You know, it really does start to fall off a good bit as the run goes. So you throw a set of tires on there, it's going to really benefit you, especially if it goes green for a while and we get to a green flag pit stop. You're going to have such a gap that those tires that you didn't take for the drivers up front are going to be a big disadvantage.
Other drivers that are still getting repairs as the choose is going underway. All drivers must either stay on the racing surface or go down to the apron at the start-finish line. So let's see some drivers bobbing and weaving back and forth as we have the 1 to green, but getting major repairs done. Thomas Walter, and just leaving the session is Dakota Moniz and Aaron Krolick. Joining with them with required damage is Dalton Hayes and Richard Wolfsfer, as well as the first incident that did not bring out a caution of Matthew Pavlik, still in pit road, dealing with an engine blown. Most likely night done for the 56, 47, and 30, but we'll see if some miracle they can find their way back out on track. But obviously not the way you wanted Dakota Moniz or Aaron Krolick's night to end. But Zach, for the rest of the field, the gambles are already showing on lap 16. I'm curious on whose strategy is really going to be the most optimal one here, with how far back those that just took tires are going to be running back in round 16, 17, and 18 on back.
It puts you in the risky zone. You know, it puts you right in the middle of everything, and I think that's where we'll have to watch, you know, what happens with them. So right here, you know, if you did take the tires, you're looking for this to stay clean. But if you're some of the drivers up front, you might hope for a little bit of carnage right here because you stayed out. So let's see what exactly plays out here on this race.
As your Premier Racing Setups caution is about to be done, it's about to be back to racing action for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. It's Season 3, Race 2. First caution is in the books, and it's time for the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240 to get back underway. Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Kanata, and the rest of the field get ramped back up to full speed as we go roaring down into turn number 1.
Fonseca, I mean, shot out of a cannon there. Great restart for him. He's able to get a nice gap, but it's the battle from there on back. Jared Talmadge now taking away some of that advantage of staying out. He's got great track position now, fighting for second.
Fighting for second, and watch out for the ducking moves like so further on back. Couple of drivers going as low as they can if you got a big run to utilize it. First driver on fresh tires, though, to watch out for going to be Vincent Sora in the 15th. Already up to 11th place. Zach, he was around 16th. Already a couple of positions grabbed as Fuller and a couple of others bouncing in the middle pack. Gotta watch out. Don't want to turn this race into bumper cars too much, as Samuel S. Garcia gonna be running down low, looking for a chance to run forward.
If you got those new tires, you're looking to utilize them now personally to get that track position as fast as possible, but you got to be careful. As you can see, I mean, the log jam, all the lines clogged up here. You have to really be able to navigate this well, and this is when the fun part of the race happens here. Different pitch strategies, different tires, and varying different levels of speed. Four wide here, and Vincent Sora looking to continue on the run.
And ripping the top and moving forward, Alan Elwood looking good. He's another driver who decided to take 4 tires, and now he's the lead driver in 7th, able to get by Vincent Sora. And just seeing the pushing action, drivers are ripping the top, utilizing every little bit of speed and tires they have, and it looks strong on the outside, but that's if you have clean air to work with. And right now, Montgomery in the 1 machine, Gavin Rogers, they are on older tires, and they're being swamped right now by those that are able to just carry more speed and able to accelerate much better off the exit of the corner.
And this is the fear of staying out right here, is when you're that first or couple of drivers on the older set, you're like the edge of the defense, so to say, and you're just getting bombarded by drivers with faster equipment at this moment, and it can get nerve-wracking, and you just got to do your best to hold your station and not try to move too erratically to let these guys on faster stuff make their way around.
But if you are quick with taking off and going, you can get to the lead quick. Alan Elwood is taking the lead for the 9 machine. As you can see, everyone else in the middle pack, 3 wide, 4 wide, but the 9 able to make the moves, and following suit going to be Vincent Sora, as they have shown a path. Larry Yingling also trying to follow on the inside with the 67. And just showing if you can find a driver that's willing to be your spearhead, to make the runs, kind of be the railroad tracks to follow, you can get up pretty quick as the 15 and the 67 work together to head down into turn number 1.
And right now our top 5 has all drivers except for Ali Fonseca, who have pit, because there goes Nick Crawford into the top 4. Put Fonseca down the 5th. Him and Kanata have hung on well with not pitting yet, but they are soon going to be in the swarm, because more and more of the drivers who have took tires are starting to find their way forward, as our front 4 showing the grip of these new fresh rubber.
Man, it is fun to see everyone utilize every little bit of speed. But I got to give credit to Nick Crawford, has ran race control for the last 2 seasons, finally able to run as a driver this season with the ways that they've changed up the ruling and how they penalize drivers after the race to allow the 74 to be out on track. And Zach, a past champion of the ISRC Truck Series, kind of the league that everyone ran before Trinity. We know the 74's got speed, and he has also won at Auto Club in the past in those other leagues, so he's not a driver either to snuff at it and watch out for, as Christopher Norris in that white Ford continues the push forward, and he has been kind of the lead driver, willing to go back and forth, and what a move by the 3 of Thomas Green.
He is shot out of a cannon there around the top side. Now he's going to be side by side with Christopher Norris, and he's going to look to take advantage of all this, and he's also a driver who has 4 fresh tires along with Christopher. So the tires all looking to take advantage of this. And if you're Ali Fonseca on those older set, he is right in the I mean, literally the firing squad nest.
And now going to be back in 11th place is Ali Fonseca. A couple more drivers trying to find suit into the outside wall. I believe that was Jackson Anderson, and it was major loss of time and positions for the 83 machine. Anderson, one of those drivers that just topped off on fuel. And Zach, I think for a lot of those drivers, maybe they were hoping for a couple of laps, then a caution would come out if you didn't take tires with that first caution coming out. But this is a bizarre moment for those that just topped off, because you also have Ryan Kelly back in 25th. There's a lot of favorites that are just not able to fight up front because they don't have the tires to do so.
Yeah, interesting call from a lot of those drivers that came down there. I mean, you had the likes of even, someone like a Cedric Hunter who was spun around there off of 4 before that yellow. He didn't take tires either. So a lot of guys just, I mean, maybe feeling like this could be an event where there's so many cars out there, we get enough yellows that it'll matter. But we'll see. Right now we're starting to spread out a little bit, and it could be an issue for those that didn't take those tires and only added fuel.
A couple of side-by-side battles now going to be happening back around 11th position, excuse me. That's going to be Kanata, Cox, as well as Stamper, Stitz. A couple of others trying to find their way forward. Joshua Kanata losing touch as Stamper with fresh tires in the 10 machine. Just able to carry so much more speed on the inside and compete with those that have the better runs off the exit of the corner when you're in that middle of the outside.
I got to give so much credit to this 16 of Kanata. I mean, fighting strong right now. First car that hasn't, have the set of tires. It's him, Stitz, and 14th, along with Talmadge there and Fonseca. Those 4 have hung on so well, and they've done a really good job of just keeping the tires with them so far. And they're able to somewhat stay in relative distance to a lot of the drivers ahead, but they're definitely starting to lose a lot of ground right now. Back to someone like Joshua Kanata, it's about 5 seconds up to our leader, Larry Yingling, who's took the lead.
As there's the 49 machine, the Orchid Inc. machine driver of Ryan Bird. Orchid Inc. is your replay sponsor and in-season tournament sponsor. Remember to go follow Orchid Inc. Tattoo Studios on Instagram or look up Tattoos by Polly. That is your one-stop shop to go find your custom tattoos, from color tattoos to stickers, paints, and more. Go check out Orchid Inc. Tattoo Studios today. As up front, it is Larry Yingling up front leading the way. And Zach, I mean, this is a vintage type run for Larry Yingling, where for years and years, this is exactly where the 67 was always at.
Yeah, he was a tough one to beat there very early in the iRacing days. I'd tell you, I was one of those drivers trying to catch him myself, and he was so talented. But he's definitely slowed down on the winning side of the column of things, but man, he still knows how to have a lot of speed and get up front. So no surprise to see him up there. I know this is also probably like his favorite track out there too. He's been really wanting to get a victory. So we'll see if he can perform well enough here tonight, as this little grouping of cars has been battling strong back here too. This is eighth, I believe, yeah, 8th, 9th, and 10th of Stovall, Christopher Norris, and also Samuel Garcia. And they're kind of having a great little battle here.
And they've been having fun. They've been carving through the field together as a group. Christopher Norris has kind of been the leader in that charge of big moves and runs. So you're starting to see the fall off now, as we've been green for the last 10 laps. And that is what's hurting the 38 currently, is the fact that he's overcooked those tires. But because they've been patient, Stovall, Samuel S. Garcia, they've been able to move forward for themselves, as the Sim Sam machine of the 50 of Samuel S. Garcia having his fun. Sim Sam is your halfway bonus point sponsor. If you're looking for fun, relatable sim racing content, head on over to Sim Sam on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. As that's Samuel Garcia, who also runs the social media for Trinity. This guy's put out some great content, hypes me up on some of the content that he puts out. Remember to go check out the Trinity Racing League Instagram's page, as well as Sim Sam. But Zach, looking at the field, we're about to be 30 laps completed here tonight. Yingling's up front, but this is what I think most of the field was hoping to see, and that's spaced out racing. The only problem is some of the drivers that probably were hoping for the spaced out racing are on the back foot and not having the best tires. This has got to be an awkward feeling for those outside of the top 20.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Sam, and this group is looking good. As look up front, Vincent Sora, he's took the opportunity, a good run off of 2, and he makes the pass. Put the 15 Season 1 champion and pass winner here at Season 1 in Auto Club back to the front. And look at also Crawford up to top 3. Like you said, great to see him out of, not having to have control anymore. I believe that really is due to his schedule being able to improve, where he can make it to the start of these races. And it's great to see Crawford back out there. We know he's always been a storied driver here on these Monday nights on Freaky Fast.
Getting to have his fun is the 74, also returning driver. Going to be the 44 of Danny Cochran that's in this lead pack. You've also are going to have the rookies of Alan Elwood, Alex Fuller. That 45 in the yellow just lurking back there. But that's exactly what Fuller did even last week at Daytona. He was just on the edge, just waiting for a chance to pounce, to get up front. And Fuller has raced with a couple of these guys on an old Saturday league. That's where a lot of the Trinity and some of the newer rookies have raced with one another previously. Trinity said, come on over. I know the Saturday league is falling through, but come and race on Monday nights. A couple of guys moved over. That's where we got Zachary Wake. We got Fuller and a couple of others. And Alex Fuller is probably the one I'm most intrigued about, of where will his speed rank with some of the veterans of the Trinity Racing League in our Monday nights that we watched in the past. Because this is great to see, the fact that he is with the top pack and keeping it close.
This is a great test for him. And man, yeah, he's so far acing the test, in my opinion. He's right here, like you said, in the front group and putting the pressure on the 44 of Cochran. Also, Larry Yingling starting to drop back now. I think that's, he said, his tires a little bit overheated as he went out there and shot out to the lead. We'll see how he can look to maybe re-engage those tires and cool them back down. But definitely going to be under threat here now as Cochran's got up to him. And last season's champion of Thomas Green up the 4th.
Now, I can't say that it was a commentator's curse, but I could say it could be a Levi Cox curse out there in chat. Because ever since he said the Thunder Valley Seal Coat car looks great in this Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240, he's falling back. This 47 He might have overcooked those tires, but at least he's with the lead pack. That's what's critical at this moment. But we love to see everyone out in chat. Who are you rooting for? If you've got the ability to be out there in chat and comment on who's your favorite team, driver, who you hope to see in a victory lane at the end of this evening, we'd love to see you out in the comments, and we'll shout you out when we see your comment. As the front group of 7 are good currently. They're all within a second of one another, but Vincent Sora almost a half a second ahead, trying to pull away. Everyone else in the field trying to keep their own footings, keep out of trouble as long as they can. But Zach, we have trouble happening in the background, and it's going to be Jesse Thornock in the 14 and a couple of others going around as our second caution of the day is out.
That was actually, I think, around Nicholas Renner also. And you see Gavin Rogers here caught up into that too. So tough for our pole setter here to get caught up in a little bit of this. It doesn't like he caught too much of there, just kind of the back end there sliding. But I think right here we're going to see 7 to Cedric Hunter slide up in front of that 18 of Renner. That's going to give the dirty air. The 18 can't keep the car from not turning. And he slides up right there as Thornick is on his quarter panel, and that's going to cause that stack up and wreck.
Those tough, just bang bang moments where drivers are trying their best, but certainly is a go-getter for a lot of these drivers, but just showing how dirty air is so impactful. But Zach, this now makes things tricky for those that already took a set of tires. We ran 20 laps under that set. Do you take another one just on lap 35? As there's your Orchid Ink tattoo replay that brings out our second caution of the day. Gavin Rogers, Renner. Gavin Rogers getting our Pole Sitter Award here tonight, your Blazing Fast TV Pole Sitter Award. If you're looking for a chill, relaxing stream, remember to go head on over to Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube to get the point of view of Dakota Moniz. I know his night did not end out the way that he was hoping for Dakota Moniz, as his race is already done, but he streams as often as he can, doing official races, league racing. Go check out Blazing Fast TV today as pit stops underway and everyone is heading to pit road.
Yeah, I had the feeling this had to happen. I know the drivers who took a set early, they're going to be down a set to everybody. But I think you had to come down here and burn another one because, again, if you didn't, you were going to be a sitting duck like the others were. Oh, it looks like Sora actually. I have not seen that car jack up at least. Yeah, I think it's just fuel only. So, interesting call from a few. Alan Elwood also. So, yeah, they're not willing to use the set here. I think you kind of had to use it. I just think they're going to be stuck in a tough spot. I mean, look at Gavin Rogers, who's up front. He got caught up in that wreck right there just from staying out.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to take the set if you're able to. If you decide to just top off on fuel, you're taking a gamble. You're taking a risk, and it's a much bigger risk than what we saw on that first caution, because that was only about 10 laps of green flag racing to 11 laps where we had our first caution. Now, that was about 20 laps of green flag racing that you had under your belt. So this is going to be a tough one for those that are up front. And that's our top 3 of Alan Elwood, Vincent Sora, Danny Cocker, and everyone else. 4 tires and fuel. And we do have an update on one of the drivers involved with the wreck. Nicholas Renner officially could be done as he's got required damage for the 18. Everyone that's gotten required damage has called it an evening already. That being Dakota Moniz, Aaron Kralik, Dalton Hayes, Richard Wolsifer, and Matthew Pavlik. We'll see if the 18 will be the next driver to be done for tonight. Ryan Duchesne going to be another driver with heavy damage, as well as Jesse Thornock, but they're both able to stay out on track and on the lead lap as we are underway with the choose. Got to stay either on track or down on the apron. If you're stuck in between crossing the start-finish line, you could be penalized either during the race if you admit, hey, I know I failed, and you'll get an EOL, or you'll start the next race with an EOL. That's what happened to Thomas Green here tonight. 3 had to go to the end of the line, but he showed there that he was able to carve his way through the field, Zach, and I'm curious on some of the other drivers. They're going to have to carve their way through the field on this go-around.
Yeah, I'm curious too, Sam. Yeah, this is set us up for some interesting moments here too, because, I mean, again, some of these drivers not taking tires, some of these drivers aren't taking tires. So, again, what's going to work out best? We'll have to see here. I mean, I'd have to say the tires are going to be great to have, but again, if we get some quick yellows, you're going to be in a position where you're a whole tire set down to the people who pitted. That's maybe where some of these guys who waited to just not take tires here and just take fuel, maybe they're looking for some quick yellows here.
And, you know, looking at how this race could finish out, we're in a weird spot where if this race goes green, this could be a one-stop. So there is also that on the line of how far can you stretch your tires and fuel. It's going to be taken to the end if you're able to keep it out of trouble. As up front, going to be the top three, Alan Elwood, as well as going to be seeing Vincent Sora and also seeing Danny Cochran, drivers that opted into running up front. So not taking tires, just taking fuel. Everyone else in the field, they took a set of tires, and they're ready to go back to Great Flag Racing to Thunder Valley. Seal Coat 240 into turn number 1. And the 9 doing actually a decent job for now, but Zach, we know that ain't going to last for long, as there goes Nick Crawford, first driver on brand new set of tires, taking the lead.
Oh, and Vincent Sora!
Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, and the rest of the field scattering around, and a massive collision as Garcia's involved, Kanata, and many of others just rippling into one another off the exit 2.
Oh, this is going to be, I think, a Christopher Norris whoopsie moment here. This is going to be unfortunate for the guys who got caught in this. You're going to see the 38 fresh tires drives around the 44, drives around up to the quarter panel of the 15. Gets loose, clips the 15, and Sora just completely destroyed, but the rest of the field are behind him, just getting multiple drivers heavy collisions.
That's required damage for Vincent Sora, also Joshua Kanata. And Norris immediately, as he was snapping loose and the contact was made, was just screaming out, "I'm sorry," as he knew he caused the big one off the exit of turn 2. The aggressive moves had been working to this point, but a backfire on cold tires. And honestly, Zach, I'm curious for Clint Cox in the 03. No required damage. And yes, I know we saw it below there on that replay, but the way that his car phased through, it's almost like he got a netcode contact. Clint Cox might have lucked out on no damage.
I'm looking at his car. He is clean for me. So I got to say that thing is very, very lucky that didn't end up worse for him, because he could have been destroyed there with that hit, and he's luckily going to get the benefits of sometimes, online racing here.
As sometimes there are invisible contacts made where we visually see it, but due to internet connections, there's what we call netcode, where an invisible hitbox will hit another driver and spin either one or both drivers out. And there's sometimes netcode that graces a driver and allows them to take no damage at all. I think that's what we just saw right there, as the field has to make the decision of damage repairs for a couple, as into pit road to be led by Trevor Benz. Also going to be seeing O'Brien, Norris, Cochran, Garcia, and as well the 23 of Ryan, going to be Boucher, who are going to be getting a little bit of damage repair for themselves. Going to require damage given out for Kanata and Sora, and that's going to be a frustrating one for Vincent Sora. Once again, fast driver, was up front running well, but not going to win at Auto Club. He'll have to wait another season before that.
He will, Sam. Yeah, that's a tough break for him, because he looked so fast. I mean, he, in my opinion, looked like the driver definitely to beat so far. He got out there and was really starting to stretch his legs a little bit. So impressive stuff always from the Season 1 champion, but he's going to have to move on to the next week as we check out that race report here for tonight's race.
If you're just joining us, well, welcome to the show. You're watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry R Productions. We're under our third caution of the day. Drivers are about to be going underway with the choose. Either stay on the racing surface or go down the apron. If you're over that white line on the inside crossing the start-finish line, you will be penalized either during the race or after the race. But only 3 cautions, not bad. We had a lot of contact being made, couple of spins that maybe should have run out of yellow that didn't. And now we're down to this point where we're less than 100 laps to go. Going to be now closing in on 80 laps to go. When we go green, it'll be 79 laps to go here this evening. We've already lost over 5 drivers. Might be climbing up to 7 or 8 based on drivers' willingness to repair their vehicles. But Zach, it's been a fun one just to see the fanning out portion of the track on how every part of this course is being utilized.
Yeah, this place is amazing, man. I mean, it's heartbreaking sometimes to watch, because We know it's gone now technically, but man, it's the beauty of iRacing. Of course, I've always said that we get to still keep racing here, and these drivers are utilizing every inch of it, man. I can't wait to see, how this all shakes out, but it's going to be so fun here tonight so far, and just glad again to be back here, Trent.
Happy to see those that are out in chat root for Ethan Smith. We know that Levi Cox is rooting for those Thunder Valley Seal Coat team. And also always great to see Lenny Reed out in chat. That's Cody Reed's dad. And everyone else that's willing to tune in and watch the racing live. Those that are watching after the fact, thank you for clicking on the video and checking out the Trinity Racing League as your Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240 is back underway. Alan Elwood, Nick Crawford going to be your front two drivers as we cross the start-finish line. A lot of wheel spin happening there, Zach, but the field looks good down into turn number 1.
That 10% added horsepower seems like it's coming into effect right there on that restart, Sam. I've seen a few wiggles on our initial start here tonight, but that was the biggest time I've seen from a few that they just could not put the power down. So interesting to see that being a factor, but down the back straightaway, it's all looking to play out as it's 2x2 for majority of the field.
And starting to see the emergence of a few drivers that weren't here in the past that have been dealing with trouble, but one of those on the inside, it's the 17. Chris Stitz has cracked the top 10. Stitz, the winner of this race, all the way back in season 1. Well, he's got a gaggle of cars, a wall of drivers. Where do you go? Because everyone wants to draft on the outside, but you also want to make the passes on the inner groove as Stitz, Cox side by side. A little bit of Stovall on the outer groove as they're 3 wide, even ahead of them as they exit at turn number 2.
They are just going for it, Sam. There's a little bit of scuff with smoke there off the exit of 2, driver up into the wall, but we keep it all steady here as they head to 3. Everybody looking to find the positions, and it's because the different strategies and the different layers of speed as Jared Thomas around the top of the 27.
Starting to see a couple of new teams and faces inside of the top 20. One of those being the wide open throttle racing team of Joshua Stovall in the 77, Stephen Clapp in the 88, as well as Michael Miller. Got to remember, Miller just outside of the top 10. He had to start this race off with an end-of-line penalty as well as a drive-through penalty in the 99, now up to 12th after getting by Alan Elwood, who still is one of those drivers that did not take tires under our last caution.
Wow, Elwood hanging on pretty well for that for sure, but we'll see how long that can be for us right now. Everybody, again, fanning out the positions. Even some drivers like Ryan Kelly there thought about going to the apron for a moment as Chris Stitz has just been caught up on the bottom side, not able to go farther forward than he was expecting, as it looks like, again, that top side seems very strong for at least getting the passes done and trying to hold people off especially.
And you look around, our top 2, it's Larry Yingling, Nick Crawford. They're trying to pull away from Jackson Anderson and the rest of the field, as Yingling is doing very similar tactics that he did earlier in the race when he got the lead, Zach, which is take the lead, try to pull away. But that is what hurt him on the long run. I'm not really seeing a major difference by the 67. This could be a worry if we stay green for another 10 to 15 laps.
This is the funny thing. I have some close insight to Larry. I very much talk to him frequently, and I always ask him sometimes why. When you get out there, man, you open some gaps up sometimes, and you just seem to always overwork the tires. Why do you do that? And he just says he has one mode. He says he's got to go because it's just he doesn't feel like he drives well enough when he backs it up. So he feels like it's just better for him to use as much as he can and try to go forward instead of trying to just hold back. So we'll see how it works out for him. Maybe as the race goes on, the more rubber lays down and work out, but definitely always an interesting factor from the 67 of Yingling as we check back here with our pole setter who's trying to make the recovery, Sam. It's been a tough night, but Rogers breaking into the top 20.
Getting inside of the top 20 is a big thing for the 75 as he's trying to follow 33 of Trevor Benz. The rookies are trying to have their best runs forward. Also behind going to be on the inner groove, the 48, of Joshua O'Brien, who are trying their best. But our blazing fast TV pole sitter of Gavin Rogers, this is a bizarre one for himself, but good to see some of those rookies out there. I know we don't, with 40 plus drivers out on track, we don't always get to see the clear picture of some of these drivers that are run further in the back or having their survival runs. But it's good to see that everyone's still willing to fight, as here's Vincent Sora's brother, Presley Sora, the older brother who's ran in the ARCA series. Tonight has not been a very nice night for Presley. He was caught up in the first incident all the way back to those, I believe, the first handful of laps that didn't bring out a caution. But this 09 has been trying to salvage an evening as he's trying to move forward.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I kind of expected a little more pace out of him tonight. But again, we'll see. It's still a long bit way to go in the race, and anything can happen. We've seen Sora in the 09 be a very big of a factor in some of the other nights here on Mondays in the past history. So we'll see what he can do. But back up to the front grouping, it's looking like it's been some great racing right now as everybody's trying to find their footing, because it's starting to spread out a little bit, starting to get a little bit of singled out there in the first 10 or 15, and then from there everybody's starting to break away from a little bit of the cars back.
I mean, those that are up front, we're not surprised in the fact they're able to space out, give each other a little bit of give and take, because they know, hey, at least we're in the top 10. We're with the front pack, we have the draft, it's okay. It's those drivers that are outside of the top 15 that are in that danger zone of, we're losing the draft, we gotta make a move. And right now, it's currently Trevor Benz in 17th. That is that first driver that is not attached to our top 16, that is in the danger zone with the gaggle of cars that hoped that he would have better evenings.
That's for sure. I mean, he's got the likes of Cody Reed there, who, got to give Reed credit, he's only made one stop here tonight, so he's one of the drivers who didn't pit on that first time around. He's trying to make the recovery due to that, so he's going to make his charge. But we also got Joshua O'Brien there in the 48. He's right there, and then Gavin Rogers in the 75. Of course, our pole setter, we talked about him breaking to the top 20. He's still right there in 20th. And not making too much headway. I expected a little bit, maybe more pace out of the 75 here to be able to go around some of these guys. But I tell you, the dirty air in this car and the traffic and the level of competition we have here at Trinity makes things and passing through the field very tough. Let's look at a big stack up here off of 4.
That was a beautiful switch up to the onboard of Gavin Rogers. I was hoping to make that maybe a 4-wide pass, but instead it's going to linger in line as Cody Reed and Benz get close to one another. Spook in the 33 to go even lower. And Reed wants to get up front, but so does Gavin Rogers, and everyone's got the same mindset. Got to go forward. We got to make these passes as soon as possible. And right now, the switching back and forth for those that are further on back, it's a fun show to watch. But Zach, the battling for the lead, it's ramping up because everyone is caught up to Larry Yingling. The switch, the change, the tires are gone. The rest of the field is closing down and barreling to the 67. Yingling, better be careful. There's about 7 drivers that all have the speed to take the lead.
That's for sure. And Nick Crawford went for it in 3 and 4. Yingling put it on his door, said, you know what? Try to carry your momentum. You can't. He couldn't carry that momentum. That allowed Jackson Anderson in 83 to shoot up the second. And now let's see what Anderson can do. Can he now launch an attack onto the 67 of Yingling, or will it be others from behind? Like you said, kind of charging up here. You got the likes of Ali Fonseca charging back to the front. We know how quick he's been. And also Jarrett Talmadge. Those two have been very good. And also the rookie here, Fuller, and Chris Stitz. Lots of great names coming into the picture.
This is just such a fun season, seeing all the returning drivers and some of the rookies, and it's all a lot of drivers that are close in speed. And there's no true definitive, these are your top 3 that are going to be racing for a championship. Zach, honestly, our whole top 15, you could say, have a chance to win a championship here this season. And that is what's going to make season 3 so much fun to watch, because season 2, they went on a long spree of about 6 to 7 races where they had a new driver winning each and every week. It could happen here this season where we see almost every race be a brand new driver in a victory lane.
No doubt. Like, if you gave me a piece of paper and you said, out of this list of drivers on this roster, pick 15 of them that you think are going to be championship contenders, I could easily do it. I really think I could. I don't think I'd have too much of an issue trying to pick through the names. So just shows you, again, the level of competition. And it's just very, when I talked about earlier, the skill gap. That's kind of like, how much the difference is between each and every driver. I think in this league, there is a large skill gap, of course, from first to last. But I think it just is so close between each and every car that it just drops that little bit as you get farther back. And that's just what makes such great racing here. So got to give a good credit to Trinity, all the admins working hard and finding a great group of drivers to put together all this.
Tanner Johnson here tonight, going to be the lone Armadillos driver, a teammate of Trenton Jump that wasn't able to make it here tonight, but going to be one of those drivers that's just trying to survive the evening. Trenton, not one known for being fast, for going out for top 10s, top 5s. But a top 20 in this type of a field, this is a good day for the 32, who also was involved with our earlier incident to start the night off. And this 32 machine is just in survival mode as he's trapped in the Hornet's nest as everyone's bobbing and weaving around him. It's certainly a lot of chaos back here for that 20th position, but also for the lead. It's been passed around. Nick Crawford has taken the top spot as Yingling is now falling back to 4th. And Zach Eater's just getting mauled. He's the 67 currently as everyone's trying to get around him.
Yeah, I wonder if he caught a piece of damage because last time off of 2, he had a great run off of 2. Jackson Anderson in the 83 just could not keep a score on the bottom of the racetrack, came up into the 67's left front there, and they kind of had a huge checkup down the back straightaway. That's kind of why I think you see this huge conglomerate of cars even got a little bit more stacked up, and that's just due to that kind of checkup off of 2, and Yingling definitely took the brunt of that. But I also think, again, it's showing once again as the run goes on, the 67 starts to fade just a little bit. We'll see if he's made any adjustments to, you know, make this a little better, but he'll definitely have to work on that still some more.
As our top 10 drivers all within 2 seconds of one another, there's still a pit stop to be made here tonight if we stay clean and green. And looking at the lap times, looking at how many laps are left, and the last time a lot of these drivers pitted, this race could turn into a one-stop if we stay green to the end of this running. And that's still not expecting pit stops for another 25 laps, but we've already seen such a fall off on tires at this point, Zach. I mean, this field could really space out quickly within the next 5 to 10 laps based off the fall off we're already seeing.
I definitely agree, Sam. We can see some big spreading out, and like that's what is awesome about this car. This is kind of more old school, I would say, in the fall off that you see at this track. I mean, it's over 2 seconds for a lot of the field, and I think it's only going to continue. So great racing, and I think that fall off just makes the racing even that much better. So great to see for everybody out there. Just look at Thornick going to the middle there as he's trying to make the pass on Trevor Benz.
You got Benz working the outside with Thornick and Thomas Waltzer to the inner groove. They all fan out in line. Tanner Johnson taking the opportunity with the speed that he's carrying forward. You know, some other drivers that are inside of our top 20, kind of going to give a little bit of a kudos to as we are closing in on your SimSam halfway running. The lead driver that is leading at the end of lap 60 will get a bonus point for themselves. If that lap 60 is under caution, it is whoever is leading on that lap. It doesn't matter if timing of a caution on, oh, yellow came out, the field's frozen, you're leading, and you get that bonus point. It's you have to stay out if there's a caution to get that bonus point. So drivers are going to have to take some risk and gambles if that's the case later on in the season. But right now, Nick Crawford looks good, Zach. He's got one more lap to go around to grab that SimSam halfway bonus point.
Looking good to maybe grab that bonus point for sure. He definitely should have it with the gap he's got, and if we get a yellow, he should be the leader most likely at lap 60 when we come around. So we'll see how it works out for him, but right now he's got to have more focus than that, because guess what? The 27 of Jarrett Talmadge, he is coming into the picture, folks, and the speed he's showing lap time wise is up there with the top of a lot of other drivers. Another few have been watching, Ryan Kelly, Alex Holder, both showing great pace here late into this run also.
You know, if you had to throw out some of our favorite drivers that might win a championship this season or are going to be a part of the top 5 picture, Jarrett Talmadge, top of that list for myself. But, man, this is fun to see. Nick Crawford worked all the way up front, had a challenge, had a battle, and he will take your SimSam halfway bonus point. That will go to the 74 machine. Congratulations to Crawford on grabbing that bonus point. And now, Zach, it's on to the rest of the racing. There are no other true bonus points that you're going for that are on this lap. You get it. It is all about racing. Get up front, lead some laps. You can get some bonus points that way, or ultimately just win the race. And you're starting to see this grouping. It was once 2 seconds the difference between first all the way back to around 7th. It's now 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds, excuse me, from first back to 13th. They're starting to pack up again. The tires are shifting. 25 laps on this green flag run. And from first to 13th, they're all still connected by the draft. And Jarrett Talmadge finally rips it to the outside. The 27 wants to be the new leader.
Wow, look at that move there from him. As even farther back, Jackson Anderson taking it to the top, also the boards, but it's 27. Jarrett Talmadge, first time tonight, first time to the front, and he is going to take advantage of those greatly managed tires. And now look at this, Fonseca, Anderson also going to look to pounce as Crawford goes from leading almost all the way back to fourth here off of 4.
Yeah, trying to find a way to slice up in front of the 74 was Fonseca, but not able to find the footing. And he'll be trapped in the middle of this 3 wide of Anderson on the inside, Fonseca in the middle, and Crawford able to blast on way forward to stay in second. That outside just looking way too strong. If you're able to keep yourself side by side, the momentum that you have on the straightaway of getting back on the throttle, carrying more speed, it just enhances your run as Anderson gets right on the back bumper of that 24. And that was probably a nerve-wracking moment for Ollie Fonseca in the middle of 1 and 2.
Well, that it was, and I think it also was for Anderson. He lost all his downforce off the nose. That thing plowed toward the wall, and he had to really pedal that machine. As right now he's going to have Stitz looking to make the move to the inside. Also, here comes Yingling. Here comes the 13 of Ryan Kelly. Also, Alex Fuller. So many new names coming up into the picture. And look at this. Yingling's done a good job, I feel like, of just kind of recovering the tires and not falling back too much farther.
And going to be right on the back bumper, a leader. Going to be seeing Jarrett Talmadge, but Stitz is that driver. He found the magic back in Season 1 when he grabbed that first career win. How does he find a way to get into this top position? Because Yingling, I mean, Zach, once leading this charge, running during this stint, was so far up ahead, and now falls back to the clutches of his teammate Ryan Kelly, diving it down the inside.
Ryan Kelly here looking strong, always a long-run player when it comes to these types of races, and I feel like he's just that type of driver. Look at this now, Anderson up ahead, bouncing to the inside of Crawford and Fonseca, again 3 wide for that second position.
Bouncing forward, trying to take the opportunities, take the chances, and Jackson Anderson using every little bit of the track, even if it means heading to the apron, but he tightens up off the exit of the corner. Fonseca keeps his foot in the throttle, and that pinching action that forces Anderson to back out, not able to keep his way full throttle, forces Fonseca to have the better run. And the 24 now going to be the lead driver to try to challenge Jarrett Talmadge in the back and forth battle for second. Zach, this is enhancing the 27 for him to build this gap now almost up to 4/10.
That it is. Yeah, Talmadge is loving what he's watching. Go ahead, guys, keep doing that. Maybe allow me to break away, but that's going to be tough to do here as now Fonseca looks to fire off into 1. And as that all happened, Crawford was the big loser and all that. He goes from almost second to 6th place in a matter of 3 minutes.
Continue to battle back and forth, and as this top 13, they've been keeping it close. Do want to give a small report of those drivers that were outside of the top 20. We were talking about Cody Reed as well as Gavin Rogers on the fact that they were challenging just to get inside of the top 20. Well, they are now in challenging positions for 15th and 14th. The 25 actually going to be the first driver to hit pit road. Cody Reed is taking the gamble of stretching the fuel and pitting first.
Definitely a little bit of a gamble, I would say, for sure, Sam. So let's see what he's able to do with it. What is that undercut going to be again? Because we're seeing upwards of 2 seconds of fall off here tonight. Every time he goes around the track here, he's going to be upwards of 2 to a second and a half faster for the first probably 5, 6, 7 laps of a run. So he's going to be able to jump so many spots, but he's just got to be able to hold on because others will be utilizing that overcut with the fresher tires to catch up.
A little bit of a backup. Drivers in the mid-pack saw what Cody Reed did, and now they're going to be forced to make their pit stops to make sure they don't lose touch to the 25, who's taking the early gamble. And really, I feel like that going long might be your best option. If you can go as far as you can go, the way that these tires are falling off, it's better to have the better set of tires for the final 30 laps than to think you have an advantage for just a 10-lap window.
I'd have to agree, Sam. I think it's going to be a interesting situation to play out here between everybody, how they all want to decide to do this. But what is that strategy call of Reed they're going to do to a few others? As look at this, Anderson trying to make the move still in Fonseca. Their racing's been tough, but it's also Cedric Hunter in the background trying to make his way forward. That's 7. Always one to come back from a spin, and look, he's right here trying to fight for maybe to get up to the top 5 positioning.
I mean, some of the most iconic Cedric Hunter wins have been when he's caught up in a wreck or he has a self-sabotaging moment early and then he just recovers, rebounds, and gets his way forward. The 7 qualified well and wants to prove that speed was not a fluke, as he is right now charging forward. Another driver who's making a great rebound. Got to give credit to the 99 to Michael Miller, who had that drive-through penalty, got graced with that lap 10 caution, and now is in the middle of this fight, watching these drivers still fanning out. 3 wide, 4 wide, looking for your opportunity to take an advantage, to take a spot forward. But right now, it is still impressive to see our top, going to be 12 drivers, all within 2 seconds of one another. Top 13, are within 2 seconds. But the mid-pack are making those choices. Pit road now for Ethan Smith. So a lot of those guys that are in the second pack, Zach, are those that are taking that early pit stop.
That it is. And look at this, Alan Elwood in the 9. He's one of the drivers that have pitted. He's that driver going to the inside of the 24 Fonseca there and on the back straightaway. Those new tires are rocket ships compared to these old tires. He was at one point right behind Cedric Hunter. 1 corner later, he's up there at the leader.
Yeah, Jackson Anderson getting slightly tight. Ryan Kelly falling in line. Stitz better hold on, because you got your teammate of Kelly trying to push you forward. 13, 17, bump drafting their way to fully commit to 3rd and 4th position. As Thomas Green trying to follow the 13 through, what Cedric Hunter painting the white line, trying to stay low, but tightening up right in front of Anderson. Watch out off the exit of the corner. And that 83 had to get a little bit on the brakes to make sure that he didn't run up too high. That's
for sure. Cedric Hunter there took advantage of clearing him. He slid up in front of him, but definitely a little tight from running right in the wake of the 17 ahead. But now it's Cedric Hunter, Chris Stitz, and Thomas Green fighting 3 wide. As it seems like almost every moment we come off a 4, we have a 3 wide battle. As our top 2 look to break away, these guys all putting on a show.
I mean, this is a show of just hope that you don't see a caution. Maximizing the runs has been the key. How do you take the speed and go forward? Jackson Anderson practically wall riding with how close he was to that outside wall on entry. With Cedric Hunter from the inside to the outside, now forced into the middle as Thomas Green sees an opportunity to try to get around the Hello Kitty 7. But up front, top 3 looking good. That's Jared Talmadge, Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly. They're trying to pull away from the madness of going 2, 3 wide, lap after lap.
That they are, and look at that. Cedric Hunter makes his way clear of that battle. He's up to 4th, and Ryan Kelly is charging.
Oh, no! Stints up into the outside wall, and around goes the 17 off the nose of Jackson Anderson. Now coming to a halt as the rest of the field catching on up. And just the squeezing motion of on the front stretch and the curved action. The 17 and the 83 make contact, and here is going to be your Orchid Inc. Tattoo Studios replay as we're under our premier racing setups caution. Anderson, Stitz just in line with one another. And I was about to make the call that Cody Reed is about to get by this whole pack in an instant. But instead we get a caution. And I'm just curious if there was just a mistake, and it looked like for Stitz, a late block to the outside in contact with the 83.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I you know, that's my initial thought was like, oh, Stitz kind of made the move to the right. And then I looked at it, which Stitz does go right a little bit, but also the 83 kind of comes back left with the curvature of the wall. And it's just a tough place to put yourself in a position there. And unfortunately for Stitz, he's going to make a little movement to the right, and that is going to be a major hit and major blow there, as that all just transpired so quickly.
It certainly did. Just blink of an eye. Following in line and then try to get out of the way, and Stovall. Hard contact for the 77 team. The Brown crew has been trying to stay out of trouble, but also move forward, and tonight finally gets grazed. As they'll have to figure out, do I top off? I mean, Zach, we're expecting everyone to pit. This is now taking away the potential of this race having a green flag pit stop. Those that have already pitted most likely going to be opting to staying out to get the wave around. But everyone else, top off, fuel tires, and then take it to the end.
For sure, plenty of fuel to make it to the end, and this would set up, if we do go green to the end, would be still the longest run on a set of tires too. So I am very excited to see how that would play out, because again, right there at the end of that run, it was getting so fascinating to watch everybody go at it, and the racing was getting really, really good. And if you're Jared Talmadge, you're saying, man, I probably didn't want that as being the leader, but he's now going to have track position out front. Let's see what he can do to try to control this race as the race off of pit road here comes, and it looks like it will be Jared Talmadge winning it. Is Ryan Kelly going to jump a spot on that 24 of Fonseca?
A very quick inbox pit stop for the 13 as everyone else around a 14.5 second pit time in the box, and it was a 14 flat for Ryan Kelly. A good time for the 13, who again comes out 30 after comes out second for the 13 out of pit road. We do want to say thank you again to the sponsors here this evening. Under Caution, for your Premier Racing Setup sponsor. If you're looking for the edge on track, Premier Racing Setups is your primary destination for top-tier dirt and oval racing setups. Engineered for speed, consistency, and victory. Built to perform and provide wins. Performance going to be Premier Racing Setups gives you a confidence to compete at your best. Visit PremierRacingSetups.com today and use the promo code Renner15 at checkout to save 50% off on your order. We also want to say thank you to Team Watson Racing Setup for being your white flag sponsor. If you're looking for another way to find setups out there, hey, don't you worry, they've got you covered as you can head on over to Team Watson Racing Setups, where it's the place for you, whether it's for speed or vibes. They've got what you're looking for. So come on out to the wild side of setups today, and remember to use the code WATTSPIN39 for 10% off on checkout. That's WAT SPIN number 39 for 10% off. As the drivers are stacked up, about to be going back to green flag racing. I think, Zach, we might do a little bit of a crank it up on this one. But I'm curious, before we send it off to that, how are you feeling about this upcoming restart the drivers are about to have?
I'm thoroughly interested to see how this one's going to work out, just because, again, what sits forth with these drivers, they know they can make it to the end of this race now, so that kind of changes the mindset of a driver saying, all right, I need to know how many laps, what I need to do with this tire set. And we've seen a few really charge early in the run. Are they going to change the mentality, or are we going to see more and more drivers look to save a little bit, knowing how their car drove in at the end? This is going to be the big question of who's going to get it right.
Who is prepared for the go? As this is it. Save your tire sets. If there's late caution, maybe that can set you up for victory. Or do you save on this run? It's been great to see all these drivers going back and forth. And let's get a little bit louder for those that are watching with us. It's been a pleasure to give you the call of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry R Productions. You're watching the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240. Let's do a little bit of a cranker up and listen to the roars as the drivers head down into turn number one. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as Ryan Kelly, Olive Fonseca have taken the top spot It has been all about get up front for some drivers. Others are thinking about save my tires. The mentality of how do you get to the end of this race while having the most optimal tires at the end is the key. Some think track position is the most important right off the rip. We're seeing a little bit of a change for a few drivers. Larry Yingling not immediately bouncing to the front. That's a good change for himself, but here's another change that's been happening throughout the race. Here's your weather conditions. It's been cooling off on the track throughout this race, as during practice qualifying it was a sunset, and now we're fully under the lights here at Auto Club, but air temperature going to be at 69 degrees, but track temp at 74 as it's starting to heat up with the 24 going to the inside. But Zach, the wind portion, that's kind of a little bit interesting to see because it's around that 10 miles per hour window. And that shift honestly can hurt these drivers in multiple different ways.
No doubt. And I actually, was hearing from a few drivers in the practice session about how the wind was affecting the balance of these race cars so much down in 1 and 2. So interesting to see that factor of that. And it definitely can play a huge factor when you're going at these high speeds at this track here that's so wide open too. So very, very fun to see how the weather affects things. iRacing does a great job of simulating that. And right now, these drivers doing a great job here trying to just balance the whole aggression level of using their tires versus not, because you're seeing the differences. We saw Jared Talmadge, he led the way here on the restart. He's now back to 6th, kind of just cruising.
Yeah, in cruise mode. And what's interesting in chat, we got Levi Cox saying Ryan Kelly with the long run speed, Larry with the short run. Let's see what happens. And it looks like they've swapped what they were doing before, as Kelly now going to be the driver that's on the go. But driver who won the race off pit road, Jared Talmadge, running in 6th position. Last season, this 27, top of the point standings for the first 6 races of the season, then kind of backed off from racing, missed a couple of races, didn't really challenge for the championship. I'm curious on what the mentality is going to be like for the 27 for this season, knowing the competition has arisen from that point. Talk about arisen. It's the 09, 39, Zachary Wake, Presley Sora. Zach, they're now in the fight near our top 10 battles.
Awesome to see, man. Yeah, this is drivers using their time wisely, their race wisely. Look at Gavin Rogers. He's came up here too in the pole center that was once involved in the incident, now putting the pressure on Cedric Hunter, and that's going to make this weird for Cedric Hunter and Talmadge, who I think we're just kind of cruising here, kind of saving their stuff. They're going to have 3 hungry drivers here as Elwood flies to the bottom of the racetrack to go around the likes of Presley Sora and Zachary Wake. Now he's trying to climb up here also.
Trying to find a way to climb forward and back any way you can. And another driver who won't be able to climb his way forward after taking on some major damage at the start and is out of this race, Joshua Kanata, who sits in pit road. But we're going to see if we can talk to that 16 machine and get his thoughts on how the running has been overall. Josh, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's been an awkward race for you. You've been sitting and watching instead of being out there on track. But what have you been noticing while watching these drivers swap paints back and forth?
I mean, I definitely like to be out there right now with them, but things didn't go our way tonight. But I'll tell you what, the tires are wearing pretty hard. The second horsepower, it's not just wearing the right rear as we thought, but getting into 1 and 3 is really starting to shred the right front. And as the runs go on, you'll see guys start to push up the track in the middle of the corner and then get loose off and put the power down. And it makes it really difficult to keep a hold on it and make sure you don't, wiggle into the guy next to you or hit the wall on exit.
Definitely seems to be tough out there. Josh, I'm sorry to cut you off there. My biggest thing is, how has it been really kind of picking and choosing what line here to run right? Because we see, the whole track's useful, but where do you feel like drivers are kind of like, positioning themselves for tire management or even just speed?
If you're managing the tires, you're definitely going to want to be down lower. 1 and 2 is always kind of awkward because it's kind of tough to tell which lane is faster. It's really going to depend on how much the tires are worn. Obviously, you can rip the top and get that run off the corner, but you can usually clear somebody, pull a slide job if you throw it in low. 3 and 4, it's usually more the low line because the car just seems to stick a lot better there in that lower lane. But it's really cool to see all the different lanes working together.
We currently have with us up at the booth the number 16 machine of Joshua Kanata. Josh, I I know on screen we are seeing 3 wide racing with Wake also seeing a couple of other drivers trying to make their footing forward. But if you had to make a choice right now, who is your driver that you think might be winning this, or maybe a couple of drivers that you got your eye on that victory lane might be calling their name?
You put me on the spot here, huh? I'll pick 3. I'm going to go Cedric Hunter, Gavin Rogers, and Ryan Kelly. Those are my 3 guys that I think will be there amongst the front runners there at the end.
I like that call, as Ryan Kelly now going to be pouncing forward to take the lead. Just so you know, if those guys have bad evenings, that they don't really get wrecked out here shortly, that curse is from Josh. Just want to put that on him. But Zach, any final thoughts for Josh before we let him get back to watching the race from his car?
Well, I just want to thank you, Josh, for coming up here, man, giving us some good insight. And, hey, on to next week, buddy. We're always rooting for you here.
I appreciate it. Hopefully it lasts a little bit longer next week.
I hope for it. Well, that will be the 16 of Joshua Kanata that was hanging out with us for a bit, giving us his perspective of how the racing has been. But Zach, it is still ramping up. Drivers who have now ran 13 laps under this set of tires. This is around the window that we start to see that shift. If you overcooked your set of tires, you are getting pounced on, and aggressive shifts have been looked at. And currently, I'm worried about our top 4. They really branched away. That being Ryan Kelly, Ali Fonseca, Michael Miller, Clint Cox. They just took off, had over a 1.5-second gap lead over Rogers and Hunter. I'm concerned, did they build too much of a lead to where they're going to be sitting ducks for these final 30 laps?
I'm so interested to see, Sam, because, again, I've been sitting here watching lap times, trying to see when does it flip? When does that script flip for that second group? And we really start to see it charge through. And, I mean, it has been, varying levels of saving. And I looked at someone like a Jarrett Talmadge who was leading this race, not too long ago, was in position possibly as we got the green flag stops to maybe be the winner of this race. He's now back here in 12th. He's given up a lot of spots. I do have concern for that. I know he's got a ton of speed, and he's done a good job working his way forward as the tires wear, but, man, he's given up a few too many spots, I think, this time. Let's look up ahead. Cedric Hunter, he's trying to make his way forward. He wants to get past our pole setter, Gavin Rogers, and I do agree with Kanata. If this run goes long and if it stays green, and this 7 can keep some track position, watch out for him. I really think with the lap times I've seen from him later in the run, he could be a huge factor.
I know in the last couple of leagues that we've watched, also Gavin Rogers, long run pace has kind of been something he's been trying to work on and get better at. I know in the next gen and also other vehicles that we've watched, I'm curious of what Gavin Rogers' speed is going to be like here on the long run, because we haven't really seen him inside of the top 10, top 15, where he's in this lead pack in the long run stages. He's been further on back because of being involved with some wrecks. So I'm curious for the 75, where will he line up as well? Clint Cox currently in 4th place. You can see the gap difference. It is shrinking, as at one moment it was about a second difference between 4th place back to 5th. Well, now 03 starting to lose touch to our top 3, and it's about to fall back the clutches of the Hornet's Nest, where Cedric Hunter and many of others are waiting to pounce and go forward. This is something to watch out for.
It was a great podium finish last week for Clint, for sure, and he's looking to build and continue that momentum here tonight at Auto Club. It looks like now the speed is starting to swap the other way to the drivers behind him. But just looking at lap times to the drivers ahead of him also, all of them starting to a little bit, drop their lap times compared to a few of others. So it's definitely getting down to that time where I think the tires are starting to wear and a few others are starting to charge. And another one coming through. Look at Thomas Green. He is flying up through. He drove around Gavin Rogers there, got to the quarter panel of Cedric Hunter, and now he's looking to go up here to get up to 5th.
I mean, this is that weird stage where so many drivers were saving their tires, backing off, knowing that we're going to have this yo-yo effect of everyone getting pulled back together. Whose patience level I think is going to be succeeding the most here, because you are seeing drivers willing to pounce forward. They've got the opportunities to make these big charges and lunges, to make multiple passes on drivers, but I mean, Zach, that's a tough situation where you want to have the best tires possible to attack, but you also know that your competition, they might give a little bit here for the next 2 to 3 laps, but after that, they might not just settle for you going for a pass to the inside or outside. We might see a couple of more big blocks opening up here. As speaking about opening up, Ali Fonseca looks to be trying to open up a chance to go for the lead as he settles back in line, as we're riding on board with Alan J. Elwood, our winner from last week at Daytona. as he currently runs in the middle of this hornet's nest.
It's been so quick here tonight. You know, it was right up in the mix up front and is now right here again into the battle. But it's Clint Cox up ahead of the car, ahead of this 09 of the 74, Nick Crawford, who had to check up big time. That 03, not great off of 4. He is getting ganged up on right now as the drivers are all looking to go around. They have kind of let their tires slowly come in. Another driver I talked about, I was worried about, Jarrett Talmadge. He's back into the mix right here with this group.
Jarrett Talmadge, 10th place runner at this time. Again, was the leader at our last restart, and over 17 laps ago was that restart. And now we're starting to see 3 wide action once again. Nick Crawford stuck in the middle. Clint Cox, got to be careful for this 03. Those tires are wounded now. That early aggression not rewarded anymore as the laps slowly tick away. It's about 26 laps to go. We're expecting that there is no more need for fuel, so you can take it to the end if you're able to. That's if your tires underneath you can make it to the end of this race. Zach, with the pressure on the tires, I mean, there's always a chance someone could blow a tire if we go into a full green flag run.
That we definitely could. We haven't got to that full extent here tonight, you know, to really see if anybody's going to run into those issues, but it's definitely the case. Is look at Cedric Hunter. He has been formally just shot to the back here. He was up in 5th at one point there, battling with Thomas Green, and he got stuck on this bottom side, and he has not been able to fight his way with that bottom side getting stuck there. So he has been trundling backwards as drivers have all been looking to go forward, as Clint Cox looking to hang on, but it's the 09, the 9, all stacked up here right behind that 03.
And trying to make the run work on the outside. Getting reports out in chat from Nicholas Renner, who is out of this race, saying that he's expecting people to be 3 laps short. Doesn't think anyone can make it. So that's the interesting notes. You know, I was told by some drivers they felt like they could only go about 40 to 42 laps on fuel. Others thought they could stretch it out to 45 laps on fuel. And with being in the pack, being in the draft, letting off a little bit earlier than others, I mean, I know each lap here is 2 miles in length, Zach, but who can maybe find a way to save the fuel could be the gamesmanship here tonight.
Well, they're going to have to go about 44, 45 laps if they want to get to that end. And I would be concerned if I was a driver running that top side, especially. I think if you've been up front carrying speed up on that top side, you are going to be having some big worries. And, you know, and if you do have that concern of not making it, and you know you're not going to make it, I would not be surprised if we don't start seeing some pit stops here very quickly. So let's see what happens.
Call it.
Yep,
Clint Cox heading to pit road now.
I was just about to say he was one of the drivers I was kind of worried about. He's ran the top for a majority of the run. That just shows me if you weren't down low kind of thinking it out and, you know, just lifting and coasting on that bottom side and rolling around there, you definitely were not, you know, saving a good enough fuel. I think these front couple drivers might be in trouble also.
And, you know, one of those drivers that's always willing to take a gamble is Danny Cochran, going to be joining a graveyard of drivers that have called it an evening here tonight, as we've had over 10 drivers that look to be done. You know, Larry Yingling out in chat just said from Levi Cox, maybe Larry has been saving this run. I mean, Larry Yingling is a driver who's willing, if he knows he is saving, he will start saving immediately in a run to try to find a way to make it to the end.
I like this. I think that's what we got here in the case with this 67. Because
there he
look
is.
at it. He's clutching it. Yeah, this 67, man. He's a vet, man. That's what I give this guy credit. He's definitely always thinking out everything, and he is going to be putting himself in position here to see how this works out. I mean, if it's very close, like Renner says, you're going to have to be saving a ton. If you're, you know, looking to save 2 to 3 laps here, this is a giant track. This is no mile racetrack, mile and a half. This is a 2-mile racetrack, folks. So you have to save a ton of fuel if it's multiple laps.
But if a caution comes out, all of that's thrown out the window as we're closing in on 21 laps to go. A couple of more drivers have headed into pit road. Ethan Smith has made a stop. Clint Cox, again, we reported on as one of our front runners that made a stop. I'm curious for those that maybe are up front that feel like, hey, I can't make it to the end, as our front 2 have now officially been ran down. Thomas Green has pulled along the rest of the field, and they're all in line. But, Zach, if you're one of these guys that have to make a pit stop because you know you're not going to make it, are you going to take 2 tires instead of 4? Certainly already have seen the drivers that have pitted already have taken 4, but I'm curious if 2 tires is maybe even a mindset for some of these guys.
It could be. I mean, if you definitely are coming down, I think 2 tires would be a call to make because, again, it's not a very, very long run. Shorten up some pit stop time on pit road. I don't think that would be long enough to where the left sides would matter too much. So, you know, we could see those calls being definitely made from a few out there. But let's see how this works out. We got Michael Miller up to 4th also in the 99. Great run for him going. And we'll see who's going to have what here. Who's going to have enough fuel? Who's going to have enough tire here to even make it to the checker flag?
20 laps to go here tonight, and certainly has been a fun one overall of who are the drivers to watch out for. I do want to bring up the race report just one more time here tonight with 20 to go, about to be 19. 4 cautions have been thrown as Presley Sora now heads into pit road. But I bring up the race report because our very own title sponsor of Larry Art Productions has his pick'ems that he has for himself that he puts into the Discord before the races start. And his pick'em, driver to Route 4, he has his bias picks of course, Danny Cochran, Ali Fonseca, Cody Reed, and Martin Morales, who he sponsors. Unbiased, he picked Cedric Hunter to win this race here tonight. And he said, there's a chance he guesses 4 cautions will be the total we have here tonight. So we stay clean and green. Hey, Larry could be right on there only being 4 cautions here this evening, as that's the number we're at currently. As more drivers, hey, if you're going to make pit stops, you better make it now, as now heading into pit road is Thomas Green and Michael Miller.
That they are. These guys know they're not going to make it, so they're coming down. This is going to set up an interesting finish here because I think a few are attempting to save the fuel while others have gone full on out and they're looking to make the pit stop strategy work. What does Ryan Kelly do, though? He's been out front leading for the majority of the time. I think he's going to be in the boat. He has to pit.
I'm just shocked not to see more drivers trying to attempt to save the fuel.
Yeah.
No clutching happening here for Ryan Kelly, which is obviously, it's a team, maybe orders or decisions being made of like one teammate's going to save, the other's just going to go full bore, force the issue to maybe help the other, or if you're able to just make it on raw speed, on fuel, why not push it? As Ali Fonseca also riding behind the 13. Gavin Rogers, I'm not seeing any lack of speed from those guys. It just seems like it is full go mode, and clutching is not really an option in their mirrors.
It doesn't seem that way. And you know, sometimes I will say clutching is not the most like optimal way to save fuel, because when you clutch, you're disengaging, you know, the drivetrain of the car. And when you disengage the drivetrain of the car, it is going to make pretty much all of your engine braking go away. And what that does is kind of help you slow down into the corner, which can in turn kind of lead to a little bit of an overcooking on the corner and hurting the right front of the tires. So I am very, very interested to see who all is continuing the start to save fuel, because I'm seeing more drivers using that clutching technique. So it looks like some of them are doing it.
Caught speeding Michael Miller. So everything that he had been working from, rebounding from his L1 penalty, which is the end of the line penalty, drive through, to getting up front, throw it all the way, black flag for the 99 team. They have to make a drive through pit stop. And so that just makes all of the hard work that you just put in, throw it all away. And for Miller, what makes it even worse, he just topped off on fuel, didn't even take a set of tires. So this just makes it even worse, as he now has to make a drive-through for himself. But up front, Zach, it is still Ryan Kelly, Ali Fonseca, as they're trying to take it to the end.
Looks like Gavin Rogers may have had a connection issue. We're going to look see if the 75 can come back. But Ryan Kelly up front leading the way. Fonseca still there in second, and Jarrett Talmadge in the 3rd spot. And I'm interested because I'm seeing some of the pace drop away from a few of these guys pretty quickly with looking at lap times. I'm thinking a lot of people are lifting early, rolling longer, just doing things to save as much fuel, while some others are, again, utilizing that clutch to disengage the drivetrain to save even more. We'll see what strategy is the best, but with 15 to go, Ryan Kelly has got a lot of decisions to make as the leader.
And Gavin Rogers, who is in our top 3, has still yet to reconnect back into this race. He is now officially 1 lap down, and due to not officially being knocked out of the server, it's going to take him even longer to try to reconnect. Rogers' debut was looking like it might have been a top 3, a top 5 finish. Instead, might be an outside of the top 30, with being disconnected at this time. And unfortunate for the Blazing Fast TV Pulsar Award winner. But now it's all on Ryan Kelly, Ali Fonseca. Are they in the better spot of going as fast as possible Or is it the pairing of drivers third on back that are clutching, that are saving, that are trying to make it as far as they can go? Or is it the absolute of Yingling, Stovall, Zachary Wake? That trio is probably, in my eyes, the one I'm circling on there, probably to the good to make it.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same there, Sam. I've been watching a few guys that have been, around the track just pace-wise. I think a few are definitely going to be on the better side of trying to make it, but some of these guys who are in that third, fourth, fifth position, I see them, they're kind of floating on the region of, can we save enough? Can we get to the end? So it's going to be the question of that, if it can happen, but I'm very, very thoroughly interested to see who's going to be able to do it. This is a tough position to be in as a driver, to try to go as fast as possible, but also save enough fuel.
As you can see here with Cedric Hunter, he's ducking all the way down the apron, staying as low as possible, trying to cut the distance every way that he possibly can for the 7 machine, while everyone else is taking it easy on the outside. It's a longer distance, but they're at least in the draft, so pick and choose your poison is really where we're at right now. As you watch that red speedometer drop all the way down, that is clutching action for the 7, who's doing everything in his power to stay low and save the fuel.
He's doing a great job. You can see everybody stacking up even a little bit there with Elwood in front of him. He's also on the clutch, rolling through the corners. I wonder if Clayton Montgomery might be doing something similar here. I'm going to be checking him out. Doesn't look like Montgomery is on the clutch. Seems like Crawford also down the clutch. Talmadge is utilizing the clutch up here too. So 3 of the 5 here doing it right here, but we'll see how that works out. Is up front, the race for the lead.
And it's Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly. They are challenging for the lead position and just going full bore, but Ollie getting a little bit of a helpful bump from teammate of Ethan Smith on the backstretch that almost went completely wrong, as Ethan Smith finally will drive on by. Going back to the lead lap is the 00, as Fonseca will tag on to the draft, pull away. And now the 24, not looking like he's looking for draft help to save fuel. He wants the lead and to stay up front as long as possible.
Wild scenes, yeah. Again, I'll be shell-shocked if these guys can make it up here with the pace they've been running, and again, not watching them really save anything to start this off. So we'll see what their case is. I mean, maybe they're again hoping for that yellow flag to come out, but again, if you wait too long, you're throwing away your whole day. As here comes Fonseca. I think he's coming to pit road. As he ducked low, I thought for a moment a little bit slower in the center he was going to pit, but definitely just checking up the center there just a little bit to get a better exit.
Just a little bit, but a driver that's starting to attach to the draft. Larry Yingling about to be closing back into that big glob of drivers from 3rd back to 7th. 67 is just a half a second back, Zach, and this is optimal for Yingling, because he has been the fastest driver of our top 10 for the last about 4 laps. He is closing in, he's bearing down, and it is Larry Yingling looking good as another driver further on back. Chris Stamper has to make a pit stop, and all eyes looking up. What's less than 10 laps to go? About to be 8 to go for the field. Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly continue to stay out, but who's got the fuel? We were given an estimation number of about 3 laps shy. Might come down to just those last 2 laps. Who's got the fuel and who doesn't?
That is the case, and I've been riding on board with Yingling. He started clutching from the very beginning of the run, and he is still clutching. That is really what concerns me for a lot of the other people. He has been literally from the very beginning of the drop of the green flag thinking about this saving maneuver, and again, that's why his lap times probably are a little bit quicker right now. He's able to just come out of that clutch just a little bit sooner than some of these others. But man, he's since he's doing it, and it just makes me think that these other drivers are going to be that much closer with them starting much later on the fuel saving strat.
Another driver enters pit road, another one falls the clutches, and leading those that have already made their pit stops, that's Thomas Green and Presley Sora. They're mired all the way back in 19th and 20th position. So our top 18 still yet to pit. Some are expecting to stay out as long as possible. Hope they get a net gain based off of saving fuel. But I'm not sure what our top 2 are going to be feeling as they are slowly being caught. It's now less than a second difference between 2nd and 3rd. That means Nick Crawford, he is pulling the rest of the field closer and closer to Ryan Kelly and Ollie Fonseca. And then you got to be thinking to yourself, was it worth building this gap or are we going to be just stuck here waiting until we fully run out of fuel?
Oh, that is going to be a great question, Sam. And man, with the way the lap times are going, we're getting closer to almost a 43-second lap. That is 3 seconds slower than our fastest laps these drivers have ran at the beginning of some of these runs. That is so crazy to say, but look at the group here. All of them starting to line up. They're starting to form up. The fuel is starting to matter, and others are starting to realize they got to save more.
You've been watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry R Productions. Race 2 of Season 3 has been a good one here at Auto Club for the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240. Who wants to seal the deal at the end of this race? Who wants victory lane the most? Alan Elwood got it done last week at Daytona. Currently, Alan Elwood runs in 7th. Would love to double down to start the season off. But has he saved enough? Is there anyone else that can make it to the end? As it's still our top 17 drivers yet to hit pit road, and can they make it to the end of the race is the true question with 5 laps left. Zach, this is really when it comes down to crunch time, because we're 2 laps away from being in no man's land. The unknown of, did you save enough, or are you forced to pit road?
That's exactly where I was going, Sam. We're about to enter that realm of we don't know how much fuel these guys are going to have, because it is getting to the word that we've heard that it is going to be short around that 2 to 3 mark. Well, we're 5 to go or 4 to go. Give it a few moments. We could have some people running out of fuel, but look at the racing going on. Kelly just trying to save as much as he can. He's dropping back as now Crawford up the second. We've seen Crawford has always been so good at few mile races. He wouldn't be a surprise to win this thing if it did.
The rookies are up front. The rookies are looking strong. You've got Clayton Montgomery, the #1 machine, trying to find a way. But over the radio, our leader, Ollie Fonseca, he's heading to pit road. He cannot make it. He's forced down there. Same for Ryan Kelly. And welcome to the unknown. Did you save enough fuel? Because it's Nick Crawford, the race control that has moved to driver, being challenged by the rookie of Clayton Montgomery, the one ducking down low. And behind them is the rest of the field questioning, do they have the fuel with 3 laps to go?
We heard they were going to be 3 short. Well, it was 3 short for our leaders up front. What is it going to be for the grouping that started saving fuel a little bit earlier, looked to play the game earlier into the run? That how will they be able to make it? And is Larry Yingling, who's now got around Alan Elwood, got enough time to run up to these folks? This is going to be nerve-wracking stuff. It's 2 to go here at Auto Club.
We also have to remember the start of this run. The 27 of Jared Talmadge was the driver that took the lead. He backed off. He fell all the way back and decided to give up time, decided to give up the tires, to give up the fuel for this opportunity. Your top 4 within 3/10 with 2 laps to go. And it looks like Montgomery's good high, but Jared Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, they've got the speed currently.
Who's going to go for it first? They're not clutching now. That 27 is going for it. He did not push it in. And now coming off of 4, it's going to be side by side for our race lead with 4 cars stacked on top of one another. Throw Fonseca in here with the new tires.
New tires going to be going down to the inside, but across the line, it will be your Team Watson Racing setups. White flag. This race is official. Who's going to sputter? And it looks to be Nick Crawford backing off. He's not able to stay in touch, but it's the 27 going to be taking the lead of Jared Talmadge, trying to latch onto the draft of Ollie Fonseca. But here we go. Zach off of 2.
And here they go down the back straightaway. Talmadge, like you said, he's the one that gave up the most time. And it's looking like it's paying off, because down into 3, he's got room. And here comes Hunter.
Cedric Hunter trying to find his way into victory lane, but was it too much, too early? Because Jared Talmadge out of 4 looks good on fuel. Your Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240. Give it to the 27 of Jared Talmadge.
Wow, what a job by him to save the fuel. Crawford comes home. His car's out of fuel in 4th. Larry Yingling comes home 5th. And man, oh man, our top 3. What a job by Clayton Montgomery, man. That is a great run for him here as a rookie.
It is a fantastic job for the one, Alan Elwood, as well as Clayton Montgomery, part of that Elwood Designs esports team, and making their mark here early. They are threats at the end of this races to be there. And what a job well done. Wow. All the drivers went for their opportunities and chances. How could you save the fuel and maximize at the end? Well, Jared Talmadge just showing it out there at the end. He had the lead coming out of pit road for that restart. Fell all the way back to 12th. We questioned, did he give up too much space, too much time? It was just enough to have the tires, the fuel, to head to victory lane. For those that pitted a little bit later on that could not make it to the end, Zach shockingly didn't even crack back into the top 10. Thomas Green, Presley Sora, 12th, 13th. That's got to be a frustrating end to their nights, knowing that they were just up there with the leaders. And of course, Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly, top 20 for the both of them. But the ultimate winner will be seeing it's going to be seeing Jarrett Talmadge in victory lane for the 27 machine.
Great job by Jarrett, man. He was really smart there to just give up the time, took the risk, knowing, hey, if this backfires and we get a caution, it could hurt me. But, man, he ends up in victory lane due to that smarts there early in the run.
Well, let's get a little bit of a breakdown with these drivers as we will step away for a quick second. When we come back, it will be the post-race show, talking to Jarrett Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, Clayton Montgomery, and get the thoughts of those drivers from tonight's race, and also get you ready for next week's running as we head to Bristol. Don't want to miss out on that. We hope to see you on the other side as we'll be back with the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Race 2 is in the books for Season 3 of the Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240. And race winner, he found a way to save the fuel at the end, had the tires to fight forward as we head to victory lane to talk to the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. Jared, it worked out. You saved the fuel, you had the tires, and victory is yours after 2 races here in Season 3. How are you feeling after this one? Because it looked like it was hectic out there out on track.
I feel pretty good. That was a crazy race for sure. It was crazy that it came down to fuel strategy. I know, like, me and Cedric there, I mean, honestly, at the start of that run, I was kind of just committed to saving tire. Because that's really what worked for me the last run when I got in the lead there and was starting to pull away before the yellow. And so I committed to saving tire, and it was just kind of naturally saving fuel that way anyways. And then about halfway through it, I committed to clutching. And I guess a lot of people didn't, and a lot of them pitted, and I was confused when I saw like everybody peeling off. And so I figured with those guys peeling off, it allowed me to save a little more because I wasn't going to be chasing down anybody anymore. And yeah, luckily we just had enough to get out of 4.
Yeah, that was definitely close stuff there, Jarrett, man. Awesome job by you. And I was kind of going to go down that realm as, you know, that the run before you saved the tires really well. Did that kind of give you the confidence to give up that much space like that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wasn't really confident at about lap 70, to be honest, because I could not figure out how to drive it. And then I did, and run there before this last run, just being able to, like, I didn't even feel like I saved my tires particularly well that run anyways, but being able to still get the lead and then start to pull away, even with how strong the draft was, it honestly just gave me a lot of confidence that I could, you know, let 10, 12, 15 guys go, and that I could track him back down, even if we had to pit before the end or not. So definitely a lot of confidence there in the last run to be able to give up that track position. It's hard to do that when you're watching guys go by. You don't want to give them up, but you just got to pace yourself, and in the end, if you do, it'll work out like it did tonight.
Well, Jared, we saw this last season where you started out very strong, you got the points lead, and you had it for quite a long time. How does this make you feel, getting that win off your back early on before we head into a stretch of races where it might get a little bit difficult with Bristol being the first race, then the short track at Coda before we head back to the sister track of Auto Club at Michigan?
Yeah, it feels great, to be honest, especially after how last week went. I didn't put fuel in on the first stop on accident. I misclicked what one to unbind. Then had to pit under green. Got my lap back all the way there, and then we ended up turn 4. It was almost like Dale out there in the wall about 10 laps later. So that couldn't have went much worse. I'd say tonight couldn't have went much better, to be honest. Obviously ended up in victory lane, but it feels good though to get a win off the back. Honestly, just to get a good finish after a bad finish in race 1, especially leading into the next 3 races that I'm sure are going to be green flag through and through, wire to wire. So I'm sure those will be a lot of fun.
Well, we can't wait to see you continuously out track there, Jared. Congratulations on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Let's shout out Zach for making this beautiful paint that got in victory lane and Freaky Fast broadcasting on it. Shout out Cedric there. I was in VC with them, and that was real cool to get a 1-2 with them. And everybody else that was in that VC too, I appreciate them letting me kind of hop along in the VC for this season. But yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and everybody who runs the league.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That will be the 27th of Jared Talmadge taking the victory here tonight from Auto Club. Congratulations on the win, Jared, and good luck next week at Bristol.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to talk to the driver that was trying his best to get into victory lane. A couple of drivers picking up this 7 machine to get into victory lane here tonight. A strong qualifying run and ultimately a strong finish with a couple of ups and downs in between. Cedric, congratulations on second here tonight. Man, first and foremost, congratulations on a good qualifying run, but how are you feeling coming away second at the end of the night?
Yeah, man, I feel pretty good. Like set up and downs throughout the race. I was glad to battle back after getting caught up at something and pretty much being dead last on lap 20 or whatever it was. So fought through, learned a few things, just I guess how to pass and work the bottom and stuff like that. And I absolutely love the bottom line of this track, and I was pretty much down there the entire race tonight. And thankfully it helped in the last run, just save fuel, save tires. And man, I wish I would have gone maybe a lap earlier than I did to finish the race. I just figured that it was gonna be, I mean, I knew it was gonna be really close, and I was good. I had about maybe a lap to the good with like 3 or 4 laps to go, and I kind of held off until the last second, because I know the second you start pushing, the fuel estimator is gonna just shrink to nothing. So crossed the line there with about half a lap to go, or cross the start finish line, had a half a lap of fuel left on the car, and I think that was probably, I mean, obviously it was just wasted fuel. So yeah, if I went a little bit earlier, we maybe had a better chance at it. But P2 is great, man. I'm pumped for it.
A great job, Cedric. We've had some updates here in iRacing. The UI is enabled some new things with even the fuel calculator. I know you talked about the estimate on that and stuff. Was that a huge factor? And like, when did also the factor of like fuel mileage even come in? Because we heard from your teammate, or at least from Jarrett, y'all being in Discord together, he was really kind of focused on tires more than anything at the beginning, not really even worried about fuel. And then it kind of caught up to him that he was going to have to save fuel. So when did that mindset shift, and how much did utilizing those tools help?
Yeah, the fuel calculator, stuff like that was given to us is great. It makes it a lot easier. I'd say the downside is now everybody has that tool. So I was already pretty good. I mean, I've won plenty of fuel mileage races in the past, and now it just kind of equals the playing field a little bit across the board, where everyone's kind of decent at it now, because it just tells you what you have. So I saved fuel for the better part of the entire run. And I was just kind of lifting a little bit early and then just saving. Wasn't using the clutch at all. and then kind of tested maybe half in the back half of the run, just using the clutch and seeing it. It saved a lot more fuel. So I wish I would have done that maybe from the drop of that green, and then again would have been able to push a little earlier. So I could have done a better job of saving, but you know, we made it to the green, which is, or made it to the checker, which is more than I can say for the better part of the field.
Yeah, we saw a lot of guys have to drop in there late, but Cedric, you know, going back to last season, you came away second in the championship. This time for season 3, you've had a couple of more learning lessons of this O'Reilly's car. What's your goal for this season? Do you feel like it's still a championship push with a lot of returning drivers and new drivers that have joined into the league this season?
Yeah, I think the level of competition is a lot higher this season, that's for sure. Obviously, the goal is just to keep improving. I got my first win last season, and then I'm hoping to get another one shortly, with hopefully more to follow. And obviously, you know, the next step is just getting that championship. I haven't won any championships in a while, so and I've gotten really close to WSR a couple seasons back. Finishing second there, second last season here, so it's second tonight. It's just a lot of seconds across the board, so we're going to try and you know, to do one better if we can. So,
well, we're hoping to see that for you this season. Cedric, before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, man, I'm going to give you guys a huge shout-outs, as always. You guys do a great job. Look forward to going back and rewatching this broadcast. Shout out to just the drivers out there. Honestly, I figured, you know, with the track this wide and how racing can be so chaotic, I was expecting a lot more cautions, and we had, what, 2, 3, something like that, 3, 4 maybe. So it was a really good race. It was cool to have strategy at the end pan out. Shout out to Josh and Nick for you know, making all this go around. Appreciate the hard work they put in, all the fans out there for tuning in. Oh, actually, I have a new team this season. I keep forgetting about. I mean, you know, shout out to them as well. The whole gang at Thunder Valley Sealco Racing. They're great, man. 2 races in so far, and I feel like I've already. The camaraderie is good. We bounce stuff off of each other throughout the race, which is what I was hoping was going to happen, and just getting the opportunity to learn from some really fast guys. So it's going to be a great season. Really looking forward to next week.
We're excited to see how you run next week. Cedric, congratulations for second. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Bristol.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from second, we go down to third. Going to talk to some regulars that we know up front, but here's going to be one of the rookies entering this season, the one of Clayton Montgomery. Clayton, your teammate got the win last week. This week, you finished better than him in third position. But, man, how are you feeling coming away third, and what else did you need to go for the win here tonight?
Needed more right front tire. But, no, I'll take a third. I was hoping for a win. Feel like I had a pretty good car there at the end to do it. Just once you kind of get behind somebody, especially when your tires worn out, the arrow, it's just you have nothing coming off the corner.
It definitely can be that way sometimes. Clayton, man, congrats on a great run here tonight, getting your first podium here at Trinity. Take us through the battles here tonight, because, man, it was all over the place here at Auto Club with 41 cars out there. I mean, it was 4 3 wide moments. You know, there was so much going on. How was your night out there battling with everybody?
I mean, I felt like for the first, I want to say 3/4 of the race, I was back there running like 25th, 30th, pretty consistently. I did some practice, and I could tell that the right front would wear out pretty quick, and only like 10 laps into the run, you could really feel it. So my intentions were just to run the bottom and kind of just let people go, and then try to gain it all back. They're on the latter end of the runs, but I think like the cautions kind of fell at the wrong times for me. I know we had one long run there. For the last pit stop, I believe that helped me out pretty good, but I know coming that last restart was right at the money for fuel, and I could immediately tell that needed to save. So that last run, it was just back up the entry a little bit and just maintain about half a lap of fuel, and save that right front for a last push at the end, which I had the opportunity, but just didn't work out. But like I said, I'll I'll take a third any day of the week.
It's not a bad finish at all. I know last week you finished 12th. Third here tonight. You are now second in points. The points leader is your teammate of Alan Elwood, so not a bad place to be for yourself and the team. Clayton, I know you're coming in as a rookie, but what are you expecting for this season, and what is your ultimate goals you're looking for racing with this new batch of drivers for yourself?
I mean, for me, it's been a little bit since I've been in the league, just personal stuff. But I know mine and Alan's intentions were to come out here and try to win and compete, for wins and hopefully the championship. And you can't get really any better than 1-2 in the points. So hopefully we can just keep it on through the season and stay up front and be there at the end of the season and fight for championship.
Well, it's certainly a great start for yourself. Congratulations on a third place here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Let's give a shout-out to you guys. I know y'all take time y'all's evening to do this every week. Everyone on the Wood Designs esports team, SimRap, and our Roderick Racing Development, they help us with our paints, and Alan for making our paints for the team, and everybody else who makes the league go on pretty good.
Well, thank you, Clayton, for a great finish and an amazing race at the end. And hope that you enjoy this third place finish, and good luck next week at Bristol.
See y'all next week.
As that will be the number one machine of Clayton Montgomery again. Himself and his teammate of Alan Elwood, 1-2 in points. Not a bad place to be after 2 races in. But the rest of the field, certainly had their ups and downs with the way that the fuel mileage was the key factor at the end of the evening. But at the end of the day, your unofficial results, will give the victory to Jarrett Talmadge after he will stay ahead of Cedric Hunter. Clayton Montgomery will take third. Thank you for all 3 of those drivers coming in for interviews. We also want to say congratulations to Nick Crawford and Larry Yingling taking 4th and 5th for the top 5s. Alan Elwood will take 6th for himself. Ryan Burdick, good finish in 7th place. Joshua Stovall will take 8th. Jackson Anderson, after hitting the wall a couple of times, he'll take 9th, and finishing out our top 10 involved with an earlier wreck, but was able to save the fuel. Thomas Walter with the top 10 finish for the 57. What a good run for himself. But Zach, everyone outside of our top 10, it's kind of the questions of what ifs if they had the fuel at the end.
That's for sure. I mean, you look right outside of it, it's Thomas Green, Presley Sora, one of the first couple to pit there. They're going to be 12th and 13th after it's all said and done, and we say, man, I wish I could have just saved enough maybe there early enough to make that happen. Then, of course, you looked at 19th and 20th, Ryan Kelly Fonseca and Ali Fonseca, so fast out front leading those laps there in that run, weren't able to make it on the fuel. They're going to finish right inside the top 20, and that one's going to sting for sure for them. But as we look through the rest of the field, these are the drivers that some near the bottom that were involved in some of those massive wrecks we had. Of course, also the unfortunate disconnect for Gavin Rogers, our pole setter here tonight in 30th. That was tough to see for him, but it is definitely a night that drivers going to be looking to bounce back from, because it was some carnage there with some of them of the few yellows we got. Those were big wrecks.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Richard Wolfsfer and Matthew Pavlik, who really didn't even have a chance to race there at the end, or Kralik or Hayes. But hope, you cross your fingers and hope what we got next week. It's going to get better. It really doesn't. We're going to the last great Coliseum. Bristol is the next race on the docket, and Zach, that is going to be a tough one. If we've got 40-plus drivers showing up for Bristol, chaos is only asking for at that type of a track, and who will survive the last great Coliseum is going to be a great question for everybody.
I cannot wait. I know these drivers have it in them. I mean, look at this. We had 41 cars out here tonight. This track can actually be somewhat of not a wreck fest, but just a place where opportunity is available, so drivers take it, and you can kind of take some opportunities that maybe aren't going to work out. Everybody did a really good job tonight. So if we can go to Bristol, carry a little bit even more of that mentality there of just giving people room and, lifting for them when you need to, and taking your L's when you just, you get them instead of repaying them back out, it's going to go a long way. So I think drivers out there really need to focus up next week, and if it's up to them, it really is. I think at the end of the day, it's up to the drivers on how we're going to race next week, and it could be fantastic, because that track, if you get a long run, those tires wear out, you're going to have them all over the place, bottom, top, everywhere, looking for grip.
Yeah, you're going to be searching, and I think searching for a good finish is going to be key. Searching for survival going to be another key. I know a lot of drivers are going to be searching for a chance to move on into the chase. Next race for us on the docket of this week's broadcast of Freaky Fast Broadcasting tomorrow night. It's the BRB Sundance Pro Series, the last race of the regular season. Who's in? Who's out? Only the top 12 in points get to race in the chase, and we've got about a handful of drivers that are all on the cusp of making it in or being pushed out. We also got the 802 League on Thursdays that is going to give us some great racing action, as they will have the final four in the in-season bracket who will move on Thursday nights as they head to their first going to be short track of the season, North Wilkesboro. We've had every race have knockout qualifying. How many drivers show up to potentially race at the short track? We'll have to wait and see this upcoming Thursday, but it's been a pleasure to give you the call. We love the fact that we're back to 3 races a week on broadcasting. We also got to say thank you to the sponsors for Monday night for the Trinity Racing League. First and foremost, thank you to Larry Art Productions, Blazing Fast TV, SimSam, Premier Racing Setups, the Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios, and finally, Team Watson Racing Setups for being a part of Season 3 of the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. But Zach, we still got a very busy week of racing, but any final thoughts before we call it an evening here for Monday?
Well, shout out to Trinity once again. I mean, such a fantastic night of racing. Thank you to the fans who all tuned in. We had a great turnout, of course, when it came to that also. And it is just glad to be back, man. It's so exciting. Season 3, lots of new drivers, lots of new names. And I cannot wait to go to the Last Great Coliseum, of course, next week. But, of course, like you said, we got 2 other amazing leagues also that are coming up this week. So make sure if you're out there and you enjoyed it here tonight, if you're free, come and join us then.
It really has been a pleasure to give you the coverage here tonight. For everyone that is still hanging out with us live, well, thank you for being here. If you've really enjoyed it, remember to hit that like button and also subscribe. And when you subscribe, remember to hit that bell notification button to be notified when we are live for our next Freaky Fast broadcast. We appreciate all those that hang out live and chat, those that are just lurking and watching with the fun. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for spending your Monday evening here with us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. It's been a pleasure to give you the call, but it's all done at Auto Club. Your Thunder Valley Seal Coat 240 Victor is the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. Fuel mileage, tire saving, it works out here tonight. But will that be the key of how you get to victory lane? Next week, the Gladiators come out, and it's time to see who survives at Bristol. Can't wait for it. But if you can't wait until then for the racing action, well, we got plenty of racing left this week. Tomorrow night, you don't want to miss it. It's the BRB Sundance Pro Series, the last race of the regular season. Only 12 drivers make it in the chase, and we head to Michigan. It's going to be side by side, 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide, and maybe even more on who's in, who's out. You'll have to find out tomorrow night on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel. And every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath. When every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels.